Lin Zaiasu laughed. Chang Yi, you really aren't considerate. I've been brought over by you for half a month now, and you haven't even bothered to check on whether I have enough food, warm clothing, or whether the little assistant is obedient. Behind him was Chang Yi. Chang Yi curled her lips. With the living conditions here, do I need to worry about your food and clothing? As for whether the little assistant is obedient, at the beginning, perhaps truly disobedient, but after tonight, perhaps she will be. What do you mean? Did I pass the assessment? Lin Zaiasu got a bit excited. Let's put the assessment aside for now and talk about these books you've read. What are your thoughts? Lin Zaiasu sighed lightly. Peace and stability are not taken for granted. Our peace today exists only because some carry the burden on our behalf. Chang Yi quietly looked into his eyes. His eyes at this moment were incredibly clear. Lin Zaiasu turned the pages of the book in front of him, pointing to a spot. There's a questionable point here. A questionable point? Yes, Lin Zaiasu said. The entire book uses pseudonyms, but only in this event a real organization name is used. Why? You really have a peculiar focus. Others focus on the incident itself, but you focus on real names and pseudonyms. Chang Yi said, since you brought this up, I will give you an answer. It is Qianlong's painstaking intention. Painstaking intention? What do you mean? Chang Yi took the book from his hands and opened to that page. Nine-headed snake, Qianlong's greatest enemy and globally, the most sinful organization. To contend with it is the ultimate goal of every member of Qianlong, and this Jing Lei became a god by killing Beigu King. By including his real name and the true facts in this textbook, the intentions are threefold. First, to tell every member of Qianlong that legends are self-created and are earned through bloodshed. Second, to also tell Nine-Headed Snake that, although they claim to be invincible, Daxia's Qianlong can still take them down without negotiation. Thirdly, it concerns Jing Lei himself. His monumental achievements indeed merit inclusion in the textbook. Jing Lei, a monument of Qianlong, Lin Zaiasu said. Yes, he has truly moved beyond the standard of a sprout and entered the awakened. Even in the mysterious awakening domain, he ranks among the top, and more importantly, there's a saying in Qianlong, when Jing Lei strikes, all is settled. If there's a mission, action confirms it. Lin Zaiasu etched into his mind an incomparably powerful figure, Jing Lei. His achievements were shocking and extraordinary. Stepping into Qianlong 101, he also gained an understanding of the mysterious genetic world. Genetic transformation, bestowing humans with superhuman characteristics. But this grand undertaking has just begun. Currently, the genetic people formed by genetic transformation, the vast majority only possess superhuman characteristics in certain aspects, known as sprouts, representing the budding of human enhancement. This is the first level of genetic people. There is another mysterious level among genetic people, called awakeners. What is awakening? It's transcendent power. A superhuman, a transcendent, a world of difference between two terms where the former surpasses ordinary humans, the latter transcends and becomes almost non-human. Every awakener is a legend fit to be recorded in history. Suddenly, his gaze shifted to the left. On the left, a woman with a gentle pace walked over. Not the little assistant, she was real. Her face was round and her eyes carried a friendly smile, very politely holding a tray with 2 cups of tea. One of the cups she handed to Chang Yi, who took it and sipped. The other cup was handed to Lin Zaiasu. Lin Zaiasu held it in his hand, examining the tea, Kingaming tea, a lot better than the usual official tea drunk in this library. The tea looked clean and pleasing to the eye, but under the scrutiny of heavenly Tao wisdom eye, there was clearly some trickery in the clear tea liquid. After carefully examining for a while, Lin Zaiasu gently placed the teacup on a side table, picking up his originally cold tea. The round-faced beauty's eyes widened. Sir, do you prefer cold tea? Listen to you, who likes to drink cold tea? Lin Zaiasu smiled. I'm just temporarily unsure of what type of poison you've put in the teacup, so I wasn't planning on testing it with my own body. The young beauty's complexion changed. What do you mean? Lin Zaiasu said, I would like to ask you the same. It's our first meeting today and here at the sacred Qianlong base. Why did you poison me? You're talking nonsense, the girl kicked out. Her kick swift and unmatched. Lin Zaiasu stared at her toes, clearly seeing them but was unable to dodge. If he had a gun in his hands, he could shoot, but he didn't have one. However, his reaction was noteworthy, his waist twisting sharply, and his whole body jumped up. The young beauty's kick missed him and hit the chair. However, just as her foot was about to hit the chair, her foot stopped, half an inch away, halting forcefully. Thump! Lin Zaiasu's body landed on the coffee table, about to sweep everything on it to the floor. Chang Yi flicked her finger lightly, instantly tossing up teapots and cups. With a light guide of her hand, Lin Zaiasu dazedly sat back in place, while the teapots, cups, and tray tossed in the air landed back in their original places without spilling a drop of tea. This move was truly amazing. I understand, Lin Zaiasu exclaimed. You were so upset because you lost to me in the system. You talk about rules in Qianlong, failing in the practice field, then resorting to poisoning in reality. Do you even understand the concept of martial morality? The young, beautiful woman was shocked. How did you know it was me who fought against you in the system? The system and real person are different. Physiological features are totally distinct, but your leg-kicking action is exactly the same as the assassins in the system. How could I not recognize it? Of course, the person was Xinyu. She was dumbfounded. However, Chang Yi's eyes shone brightly. I have a question too. How did you know that Xinyu had poisoned the tea? Because her gaze was full of ill intentions, Lin Zaiasu said. Although she looks innocent and kind while smiling, the moment I picked up the teacup, I spotted a sly expression of scheming success in her eyes. I'll curse your 8 ancestors. How dare you act cocky in front of me? Xinyu yelled, completely letting loose. You think this is a curse? My 8 ancestors in their graves are pretty thrilled. Damn it, forget it, let's fight. Xinyu leaped up, kicking sideways. Chang Yi reached out and caught her calf on the spot. Xinyu, looking to get points deducted again. All of Xinyu's movements halted instantly. Point deductions are her lifeline. It takes 1,000 points to transition from reserve to full member. She could have done it with her merits, accumulating over 2,000 points, but with her frequent deductions, she's down to only 853 points. If she really turned this bastard into a pig-headed mess in the library, she might lose 200 points. Chang Yi's gaze shifted to Lin Zaiasu. Let's head back, your little assistant has calmed down. Is there no justice? I get into a disagreement and I risk losing points, yet he just passes the assessment so easily. Amid Xinyu's accusations, Lin Zaiasu left the library. Xinyu might not understand, but he did. Today was also an assessment. There were 2 points in the assessment. First, your thoughts on War Spy. Reflections on War Spy can reveal one's inner thoughts. He told Chang Yi, through these intricate spy tales, his feeling was, today's peace and happiness come because someone else is shouldering the burdens. As he said this, Chang Yi stared into his eyes. She knew he was telling the truth. This is the essential mindset of a Qianlong member. Qianlong doesn't just test skills, but also mindset. A correct worldview and a genuine heart are prerequisites for critical responsibilities. That was the first test. Then there was a second. That was Xinyu's poisoning. As a Qianlong member, one must always stay alert. If Lin Zaiasu had drunk that cup of tea, his assessment would have been a failure. But Lin Zaiasu didn't just correctly deduce the tea was poisoned and choose not to drink. He also demonstrated an essential skill. What was it? He accurately captured the similarity between Xinyu's kick and the genetic person in the system, thus deducing that Xinyu was the assassin in the system. What terrifying observational and judgment skills are these? With these 3 layers of assessment, he smoothly passed the entry test of Qianlong, and from the moment his assistant privileges were activated, he became a Qianlong reserve. Entering his own room, Lin Zaiasu met his little assistant, little Luo, again. Little Luo, smiling, told him, Sir, you now have the privileges. Little Luo can do everything for you. Everything? Lin Zaiasu was thrilled. Haha, wife has turned into a mother-in-law. Your day has come too. Little Luo, let's have a round of all the 8 great cuisines you claim to master. Sorry, sir, you can't eat so much alone. The Qianlong regulations clearly prohibit wastage. Damn it. In the end, Lin Zaiasu opted for 3 dishes and 1 soup, which is the upper limit set by Qianlong regulations. However, he did have some choices. He could select any of the 8 great cuisines, mix and match one type of dish with another type of soup. Sitting on the sofa, Lin Zaiasu watched as little Luo rolled up his sleeves to cook for him, feeling quite mixed. How expensive is such a capable robot? Maybe, after getting paid, I'll buy one to play with. During the meal, little Luo stood by, ready to assist. The food tasted top-notch, 5-star rating indeed. After finishing the meal, Lin Zaiasu, sipping tea handed by her, looked her up and down. Little Luo. Here, all your functions are activated. Yes, sir. Does it include the ultimate function? Little Luo doesn't understand what you mean, sir. There's no concept of ultimate function in Little Luo's data bank. At this, Lin Zaiasu began to explain. Little Luo blinked her beautiful big eyes, word for word absorbing it into her database, finally understanding. Sir's talking about solving physiological needs. That's not Little Luo's job. Little Luo is a Class B robot, made of alloy down there without any openings. Sir, do you want to modify Little Luo? If so, it needs an application and leader's review. No, I was just asking casually. Let Little Luo give you a comprehensive answer. With a blink, the knowledge of robot mechanisms appeared in the battle chamber. Chapter 20. Chapter 20 Mountain and River Scripture. Qianlong robots are divided into three main categories. The first category, A-type robots, are combat robots that perform various combat missions, such as hand-to-hand combat, gunfights, street battles, field battles, etc. Their shells are incredibly hard. They are implanted with the best combat neurons, and they do not necessarily have a human form, but they are fierce in battle. However, this fierceness is only relative to ordinary people, as in front of genetic masters, the reaction of robots is ultimately slower, and the materials are not particularly robust. Therefore, at present, they are only used in conventional warfare and cannot be elevated to high-level combat. The second category, B-type robots like Little Luo, know various knowledge, can cook, do laundry, make soup, and are proficient in all art forms. They are excellent servant templates. Under special circumstances, they can also shield their owner from bullets. Note, this shielding is very formal. The third category of robots is the C-type, which performs specific tasks. These tasks are singular, and functions are limited, such as diving robots or mine-sweeping robots. In the Qianlong dictionary, there is actually no fourth category of E-type robots. The representative brand of E-type robots is Catwoman, addressing people's entertainment and physiological issues, which falls into the commercial category, and anyone can place an order online. Qianlong does not specialize in manufacturing these, because Qianlong people have generally moved beyond low-level tastes. However, if someone really retains such low-level tastes and insists on carrying out such modifications for their close associates, for the engineers, it is a very simple minor surgery. Dig a hole, add some gel, implant some neurons, and integrate humming noises into the sound system. Isn't that it? What's the big deal? Your application can basically be approved. Yet among the 101 people, no one has really made such a request. People do have some pride. Lin Zaiasu looked at those images in the void that needed to be censored, looked at the innocent eyes of Little Luo in front of him, felt somewhat embarrassed, and decided to leave and continue reading in the library. At midnight, Lin Zaiasu held a book, lost in thought. This book is called Mountain and River Scripture, which records various ancient myths, all kinds of strange creatures, totaling 360 strange objects and 360 exotic beasts. Section 78 of Mountain and River Scripture records a large bird called Kongu. This bird is 100 jang long with a wingspan of 300 jang, claws with 3 digits, capable of splitting mountains and cleaving rocks, with 3 bright red scales on its forehead. The book is clearly very old, its pages yellowed, thread-bound, and its writing is not printed but manually written. From the content alone, an undoubted myth. However, an image emerged in Lin Zaiasu's mind, which was incredibly chilling. It was the second time he stayed overnight at Liu Lin Temple during the ecliptic change day. Through the heavenly window, he saw a scene. A giant bird flying over high mountains and rivers, heading towards that ancient stele. The bird was incomparably huge with 3 striking, bright red scales on its forehead. Why don't you file an application if you want to add functions to Little Luo? If you dare to apply, I truly dare to approve. A voice came, accompanied by a faint fragrance. Lin Zaiasu nearly jumped. Damn it, is there no privacy at all? You know about this too. Behind him was Chang Yi, who softly chuckled. Don't you know the robot is networked? As long as my authorization is higher than yours, I know everything you do with it. Lin Zaiasu threw his head back. I really have to be glad that I am a righteous gentleman. Otherwise, I'd embarrass myself all the way to Qianlong headquarters. A righteous gentleman, and yet you inquire about ultimate functions. Chang Yi laughed softly. What are you doing? Reading mythology stories, which is good, very vivid and vivid. What do you think about these mythology stories? A hint of brightness flashed in Lin Ziyasu's eyes. How else to view mythology stories? You have to admire the author's wildly imaginative, but the story is too fragmented to even be called a story. Chang Yi has of course read the book as well. Is it possible that it's not just a mythology story? Lin Ziyasu said. If it isn't a mythology story, then what is it? Chang Yi asked. For instance, recordings from some parallel world. Chang Yi stared at him for a long time, then suddenly smiled broadly. You are late. If you had come a decade earlier, perhaps you could meet someone who could have spun an infinitely lively discussion on this topic with you. But unfortunately, he's no longer here. Who is it? A blind old Taoist who lived here for 10 years, leaving this book behind. When I first joined Qianlong, I met him. He would start talking to me in detail, speaking of truly fantastic ideas, but unfortunately, I had no time to chat with him, hence couldn't enter the world he spoke of. What was his name? His surname was Lu. I really don't know his full name. He was invited by Xinyu's grandfather and wasn't originally from Qianlong. Surname Lu. Lu Yun. Lin Ziyasu's heart skipped a beat. Can I meet Xinyu's grandfather? Chang Yi sighed softly. You are late again, this time by 8 years. 8 years ago, for the Trojan Horse Project, he went far to Luoba State to assist the enemy state in improving its genetic program, leading the enemy's genetic program astray. After being uncovered by the enemy, his head was chopped off and sent back to his hometown. When he left Qianlong, worried about 10-year-old Xinyu, he asked the organization to take care of this martyr's orphan and also enlisted Chang Yi to look after her. So Xinyu grew up in Qianlong. So she and Chang Yi became as close as siblings. Speaking of the head that traveled across oceans to return to its homeland, Chang Yi felt somewhat sad. Being in Qianlong, she was used to seeing the sacrifices of her comrades, but every time she saw a new sacrifice, she also felt sorrow. Venturing to foreign countries, executing top-secret missions, only the head returns home, while the body remains elsewhere. One can only say, generations of Qianlong people truly command respect. Lin Ziyasu said, have you figured out what the ultimate goal of that Taoist named Lu was for coming to Qianlong? I've vaguely heard a term. It's called giving a warning, but what warning it was, I don't know. Warning? Waves of turmoil surged in Lin Ziyasu's heart. He knew. Everything became clear. Taoist Lu Yun had walked the same path he once did. He felt that the ancient great world was about to return, so he had informed his uncle at Liu Lin Temple. But informing his uncle was useless. His uncle was just an ordinary person. What good would believing him do? Thus he sought out Qianlong, the most powerful organization in this world. He warned Qianlong, hoping to gain Qianlong's attention, thus preparing a response plan in advance. Whether Qianlong took it seriously, he did not know. Whether Qianlong had a response plan, he did not know either. But this Taoist Lu, he did everything he was supposed to do. Where could he go next? Lin Ziyasu said. Don't you have a system that can locate people all over the world? Can you find him? I've told you already, for this system to find someone, there is a major premise. They must be registered, have a signal source on them, or have appeared under a camera. And he, after leaving Qianlong, has never appeared. Oh, right before he left a statement. Demon lurks overseas, natives restless at the core. The ancient wilderness seeks to break its seal and re-emerge. To what end does this generation of civilization aspire? Demon lurks overseas, natives restless at the core. The ancient wilderness seeks to break the seal and re-emerge. What's your interpretation of this? Chang Yi said, Demon lurks overseas, I understand this. Most Western countries have been infiltrated by the nine-headed snake, carrying the mantle of the beacon of humanity, yet their actions are worse than robbers, completely corrupt from top to bottom. Indeed, this generation's civilization faces a great threat. But as for natives and the ancient wilderness, no one knows. Suddenly, her voice abruptly stopped, because a tall figure appeared at the library door. This person strode forward, emanating a strong aura of stern killing intent, heading directly towards Lin Ziyasu. Lin Ziyasu raised his eyes to meet his gaze. At that moment, Lin Ziyasu felt, this person must have killed many, as there was an aura of killing about him. It felt a bit mystical. This is Qianlong number 88, Chang Yi said. Lin Ziyasu stood up, scratching his head. Should I perform a salutation? Number 88's stern and serious expression softened slightly with his words. a slight smile squeezing onto his face. "You're not officially Qianlong yet. No need for salutations. Sit. I have something to discuss with you." He sat down, and Lin Zaiasu casually poured a cup of tea, handing it to him. Number 88 took it, placing it on the table. "Lin Zaiasu, both Chang Yi and I have seen your performance as examiners. We unanimously agree that you pass the assessment and become reserve. I'm here today for two purposes. The first, to tell you the basic rules of the reserve." He reached out his hand, passing Lin Zaiasu a tablet. 5 big characters appeared on the tablet. Reserve Chapter. Reserve, the probationary phase of the Qianlong Gold Medal. Each person receives 100 initial points. Contributing merits receives points rewards. Violating Qianlong regulations results in corresponding deduction. The Qianlong regulations were also displayed in full, totaling 327 items. Lin Zaiasu quickly flipped through it, then raised his head. "What's the second purpose?" "The second purpose is an emergent event. You can participate." Chang Yi looked up. "What emergent event?" Number 88 said. "Number 325 sent information from Lao Mountain yesterday, saying there was a significant discovery, but today it's the agreed time and no information came. We suspect he's encountered a problem. He is the most meticulous person, never failed to deliver on his word." Chang Yi was greatly shocked. Chapter 21, Emergency. Yes, Agent 325 is the most meticulous person. When he transmitted the picture yesterday, he promised to report the latest situation at 9 tonight. He definitely wouldn't forget. If there's no message, there's only one explanation. Something happened to him. "That place can't be located," Chang Yi said. "Finding him is like looking for a needle in a haystack. That's why I wanted to ask this genius detective to try and see if he can perform a miracle in Lao Mountain, that cursed place." Both sets of eyes turned towards Lin Zaiasu. Lin Zaiasu's eyebrows were tightly furrowed. Agent 88 said, "The main mission of this operation is to find Agent 325. If you can achieve that, you'll be rewarded with 300 points. The side mission is to discover the major finding he mentioned. If achieved, you'll be rewarded additional points based on your contributions." Lin Zaiasu shook his head. "Facing the life and death of a comrade, how can we talk about points? The key is, why can information be transmitted from that place, but it can't be located?" Agent 88 explained the reason. Lao Mountain is on the border of Chuanan Province, extremely mysterious, with abnormal magnetic fields. Once you enter the interior of Lao Mountain, all signals cannot be transmitted and can't be located. To send out signals, someone inside must actively find a special area with satellite signals, like the top of a high mountain, and actively send out the information. It's harder for people outside to send signals in because when you send a signal, the people inside are most likely in a signal dead zone, completely unreachable. He sent some pictures. "Where are the pictures?" Lin Zaiasu asked. Agent 88 smiled slightly. "Take on this mission and you'll see the pictures." "Okay, I accept," Lin Zaiasu agreed without hesitation. "Let's go." The three of them stood up at the same time, stepped out of the library, and just as they walked to the flying car, a huge monkey, oh no, Xinyu, suddenly dropped from a tree. As soon as Xinyu landed, she bounced to Chang Yi's side and grabbed her hand. "Sister Chang, I'm coming too, I am." "You don't even know what the mission is, yet you want to go," Chang Yi said. "Who cares what the mission is as long as it can increase my points?" Xinyu said. "Respectable instructor, this mission has points, right?" This was directed at Agent 88. In front of Agent 88, she always gets points deducted, but now she has learned a lot and her address has become more flattering. Agent 88 said sternly, "The points are substantial, but you need to contribute to earn them." Xinyu jumped with excitement and climbed straight onto the flying car. "Great, on one hand I gather points to soar high, and on the other hand I snatch this guy's points and push him into the mud, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Oh, instructor, even if I have to face your stern face all the time, I'll try to imagine it as a pop star's face." Lin Zaiasu had a pained expression, looking here and there. "Targeting me so explicitly, might we end up fighting in the wilderness?" "Don't worry, I've equipped you with a gun," Agent 88 responded coldly. Entering the interior of the flying car, they could see a sky full of stars outside. This was still Area 101, where revealing secrets is not allowed. Hence, everything from the outside world is blocked. Agent 88 handed Lin Zaiasu and Xinyu each a set of equipment. This equipment seemed light, but Lin Zaiasu was excited when he opened it. It was the standard Qianlong gear. A suit that looked like a bodysuit, but the material was very special, bug-proof, moisture-proof, yet breathable, tear-resistant, stretch-resistant, excellent elasticity. Wearing it, although it couldn't block heavy machine guns or assault rifles, it could stop a few rounds of handgun bullets, not to mention the thorns and tree spikes in the forest. A dagger with a dragon pattern on the shiny blade. A handgun, his most familiar training gun. Unlike the training guns, this was a real gun. Also hundreds of bullets. All the equipment was connected to this suit in the most rational way. Wearing it, Lin Zaiasu felt elevated. Xinyu had also put hers on, and after dressing she also swelled with confidence, patting Lin Zaiasu's shoulder. Lin Zaios, don't get too cocky. You might be skilled with your gun, but my dragon armor is bulletproof. Lin Zaio, see, how am I provocative? Lin Zaiasu glared at her. Aiming the gun not at other places but at Grandma's. Boobs, aren't you being risque? Lin Zaiasu was completely speechless. Chang Yi and Agent 88 were probably used to her unrestrained behavior, unsurprised. Agent 88 lightly tapped the screen, and a few pictures appeared among the surrounding stars. These pictures were sent by Agent 325. This was a strange orchid. The plant was unusually tall, measured to be 1.89 meters. Its 18 petals were like those of the other shore flower. The whole plant's color was very strange, not the usual vibrant hue of flowers, but a deep green, similar to tree leaves. In a primitive jungle of green, it was practically impossible to spot from a distance. Agent 325 discovered it only when he got close. Discovering this previously unseen species, he used the high-precision camera he carried to take pictures and send them back to the base for analysis. Chang Yi stared at the bouquet. The major discovery Agent 325 mentioned was it really this mutated flower. It shouldn't be the case. When he mentioned it, he had already collected specimens of the flower. If the discovery he referred to was this, he would have specifically said so. The fact that he didn't suggest that, although he found a clue, he hadn't truly pinpointed it yet. Xinyu's eyes flickered. Sister Chang'e, do you think the flower itself is a major discovery? Yes, just looking at the plant structure, it appears like a typical orchid. However, the size has mysteriously grown so large, and the color of the flowers has also evolved into a camouflage. Such evolution is rare even in the animal kingdom, and even less so in the plant world. When it comes to understanding plants, Sister Chang'e is second to none. Because she is a poison woman. Her entire mission is to study the various genes in plants. In Qianlong Botanical Garden, she is one of the few authorities. There are very few plants she is unfamiliar with. Most plants bloom, and their flowers are usually bright and fragrant. Why? Plants don't have an aesthetic sense. They don't bloom for self-admiration. Their blooming carries the responsibility of life's continuation. The flowers are conspicuous and fragrant, or stinky, but the fundamental goal is to attract those little insects that detect via smell or sight, which help pollinate the flowers, thus ensuring the continuation of the plant's life. The orchid is no exception. Small size, bright flowers, and fragrance are the results of millions of years of natural selection, because these traits best suit the survival of the orchid species. But this particular orchid before us has abandoned its ancestral decisions. The plant stands as tall as a tree. The color of its flowers blends with the surrounding environment. And according to the information relayed by number 325, the flower emits no peculiar smell, neither fragrant nor stinky. This is strange. It avoids all the critical points in the life continuity chain. It seems to intend to bloom quietly alone. Lin Zaiasu stared at the differently angled pictures inside the speeding vehicle, his thoughts silently diverging. Botany was not only a field Sister Chang'e excelled in, he was also proficient, and he too thought this was suspicious. Currently, number 325 cannot be located, so what about the place where he sent these pictures? Can it be located? His reverse time can currently only trace back to scenes from 5 days ago. As long as he finds any point in number 325's path within those 5 days, he can follow that point and trace his steps. The process should as closely reflect science as another aspect. Key is, if this point is located, the mission is bound to be completed. Logically speaking, his remarks are also correct. Number 325 sent out pictures last night, and sending pictures involves location tracking by various high technologies, which can precisely pinpoint where the signal was emitted from. However, number 88 shook his head. It seems you don't know the peculiarities of Lao Mountain. Lao Mountain is called that because, in some way, it's like a prison between heaven and earth. Maybe a signal could sporadically be sent from its summit, but the location of the signal's origin is impossible to pinpoint. If it can't be located, what can be done? Number 88 laid out the strategy that had already been prepared. A month ago, number 325 entered Lao Mountain Inn, and 29 days ago, he entered Lao Mountain. Following the place he entered, retraverse it, and perhaps you could find his traces of entry. After all, members of Qianlong are essentially trained on the same material. Surviving in the jungle also follows a usual routine. These routines, members of Qianlong recognize at a glance, such as spots suitable for camping, spots suitable for climbing. Their inner judgments are quite similar. Just by finding his camping site and judging the next steps from the traces, it could be possible to locate him in the primitive jungle. This method is foolish, and the results are unpredictable, but when high technology is unable to intervene, the most primitive methods become the only methods. Sister Chang and Xinyu exchanged looks, slightly bewildered. Indeed, from their respective positions, having long relied on Qianlong's high technology, for the people of the world, using Dragon Eye to search worldly affairs, search the internet. But in places where Dragon Eye can't reach, the internet can't access in the vast primitive jungle to find someone who entered the mountains a month ago, they all felt overwhelmed. Lin Asu exhaled softly. It seems we can only resort to the most primitive method, but I don't recommend your method since it's too uncontrollable. Number 88 frowned. Although my method is uncontrollable, it is the only one. No, it's not the only one, Lin Asu replied. Xinyu's eyes widened. You're contradicting the instructor, as stipulated in Article 135, Clause 1 of the Reserve Chapter. Deduct 20 points. Instructor, go ahead and deduct. Number 88 shot her a look, then turned to Lin Asu. Let's hear what you have to say. Lin Asu pointed. For instance, these 4 pictures, they have conveyed some information. Number 88's gaze flickered. Are you talking about this small river? Sister Cheng's eyes sparkled. In the jungle, finding a person is hard, but finding a river is relatively much easier. Was that what Lin Asu was suggesting? As long as the river is found, it will significantly narrow down the search area. Chapter 22, The Mystery and the Foe. Lin Asu gently shook his head. If this were a river, it would be fine, but the key is that this isn't a river at all. It's just a temporary waterway formed by the heavy rain in the Lao Mountain area yesterday morning. With the clear weather in the Lao Mountain area today, this river must have already disappeared. 88 nodded lightly. Your eyesight is good. There is fallen green grass in this river, which obviously means it is not a real river. This is also the key reason I didn't include this small river in my field of vision. Tell me, where do you see the information? Lin Asu said, look, these leaves. His finger pointed at several leaves floating down the water. The leaves were large and very clear under the high-precision camera dedicated to Qianlong. Leaves. Everyone's eyes simultaneously widened. Chang Yi, you're an expert in botany. Do you know what tree these leaves come from? It looks like eucalyptus. Correct, it is eucalyptus, Lin Asu said. Do you know the biggest characteristic of eucalyptus? Exceptionally tall. Lin Asu nodded lightly. Adult eucalyptus trees can grow over 100 meters tall. They are most common in the forests of Nanmo State, but in Daxia country, they are very rare. If we were to drive a flying car over Lao Mountain, wouldn't the few large trees below that are over 100 meters tall be easy to find? 88's eyes lit up. Cheng Yi's eyes lit up. Xinyu looked from one person to the other. Hey, instructor, don't you just get carried away and give him points for those bland, unconfirmed blathering. The reserve chapter states that it's strictly prohibited to cheat by showing favoritism. 88 burst into hearty laughter. Comrade Little Sue, I see hope in you. Next up, find the location where this photo was taken, and I'll add 200 points. Yes, Lin Asu raised his hand and saluted in an awkward manner. A salute not up to standard, deduct 10 points, Xinyu shouted. SHH. With a quiet click, the star curtain outside the flying car completely vanished. Outside, it was the darkest time before dawn. Yet when Lin Asu's gaze pierced through the car window, the sight of a large river below still gave him a sense of openness between heaven and earth. Having left the 101, there was no need to conceal anymore. Below was the Yangtze River. He quietly calculated the flying car's speed in his mind, roughly 700 kilometers per hour. A very normal cruising speed. Everyone rest for a bit. We might not have time to rest after we enter the mountain, Chang Yi said, and then closed his eyes. 88 also closed his eyes. And soon, snoring could be heard from 88. This was probably a peculiar trait of Qianlong members. They could sleep as soon as they lay down and were ready to battle the moment they opened their eyes. Their bodily functions had long been rigidly mechanized, not allowing themselves to waste even a bit of energy. Lin Ziasu and Xinyu couldn't do this. The two sat side by side in the back seat, staring wide-eyed at each other. "Why are you always targeting me?" Lin Ziasu's voice was very low. "Why did you have to shatter my milk?" Xinyu's voice was also very low. "You jumped out trying to kill me. It would be normal even if I broke your head." "Then why didn't you hit my head? Why did you hit my milk?" "Damn, it's tough to raise women and villains." Lin Ziasu closed his eyes. But he distinctly felt a hand shaped like a knife, drawing back and forth in the air above his neck. Lin Ziasu abruptly opened his eyes and saw the hand, which retracted rapidly and senselessly, but the path it left behind was exactly as he had felt. "Damn! What kind of heaven-defying skill is this? I can actually see her movements with my eyes closed." Lin Ziasu closed his eyes again, his consciousness focusing on his brain. Suddenly, he had a wonderful feeling, as if there was a consciousness silverfish swimming in the boundless jungle of his mind. His perception of the outside world was so mystical, as if he could see the objects moving around him without opening his eyes. This consciousness silverfish, could it be the human sixth sense? The sixth sense made tangible, can you understand? When they woke up, the sky was filled with the rising sun. The unmanned flying car had smoothly arrived at its destination, Lao Mountain. The flying car entered Lao Mountain without alerting anyone. From the flying car's view, Lao Mountain was exceedingly peculiar. A layer of thin fog like ocean waves undulated and enveloped everything below. Occasionally, a few tall trees broke through the fog above, and several high mountains stood like isolated islands in the ocean. Xinyu stared blankly at the trees below, wanting to dump a few buckets of cold water on Lin Ziasu. However, she couldn't speak, because she had developed a slight admiration for him in her heart. In this Lao Mountain, the thick fog lingered all year round. It seemed that searching for a 100-meter-tall tree was indeed the best landmark for finding one's way. Although this darn kid was a nuisance himself, the idea he put forth seemed to be the only feasible method. 10 minutes later, Chang Yi raised her hand, pointing to a tall tree, eucalyptus. At this moment, the fog was not only unfading, but had become even denser. The tall tree she was pointing to stood out prominently in the mist, very recognizable. 88 was excited, ready to pilot the flying car to land. Lin Ziasu gently shook his head. "Not this one, keep going." "How do you know it's not this one?" asked Chang Yi. "The geological characteristics below don't match at all." "Below?" Yes, their target wasn't the eucalyptus itself, but rather to locate the real position through it, so the eucalyptus was just for reference. There were also geographic features in the picture. Chang Yi glanced at Lin Ziasu with a bit of discontent. This kid had an extraordinary eye, but could he really see the precise geographic features through the nearly invisible thick fog below? Another eucalyptus appeared, ignored just the same. Then 3 eucalyptus trees lined up side by side came into view. Also ignored. The flying car traveled for about 40 minutes, spotting 30 eucalyptus trees along the way. Overall, eucalyptus trees were indeed as rare as Lin Ziasu had said. But Lao Mountain was too vast and still accommodated dozens of them. An hour passed, and even the flying car in the sky momentarily lost its bearings. Below was a sea of clouds while the heavens above stretched endlessly, with no effective reference points in the wilderness, and all satellite signals were lost. For the first time in their lives, these Qianlong elites, accustomed to being in control, felt a sense of not being able to master their surroundings. Heaven knows this feeling wasn't pleasant. Suddenly, Lin Ziasu pointed and said, "There." Number 88's spirits lifted as he piloted the flying car to land. The location was a valley, with the eucalyptus growing at the bottom of it and its canopy just breaking through the fog layer. It was, in fact, not conspicuous among the many eucalyptus trees. but Lin Zaiasu locked onto it with just one glance. Upon landing in the valley, the scene before them made Chang Yi's eyes light up. Over there. Did we really find it? No way. Xinyu leaped up, transforming into a wisp of smoke, and almost simultaneously arrived with Chang Yi at a low cliff, where a peculiar orchid from the photo swayed in the wind, showcased in 360 degrees. Xinyu licked her lips, swallowing hard. This bastard actually has some real skills. Looking back, she laughed. Hey, Lin Zaios, you kinda look like a turtle. Lin Zaiasu was momentarily exasperated. Among the 4 travelers, 3 had scaled the low cliff in seconds, leaving him alone, climbing up by grasping onto the roots. His physique was indeed a little embarrassing. But what could he do? His body was just that of an ordinary person. Number 88 stretched out his hand, grabbed Lin Zaiasu's hand, and yanked him up the cliff with a hard pull, patting his shoulder. Well done, your 200 points have been credited. Lin Zaiasu felt happy. Jealousy and envy filled Xinyu's eyes. And Chang Yi. Only excitement filled hers. She donned the familiar glasses Lin Zaiasu knew, her hand piercing the orchid before her with a silver needle, as the glasses flickered with light, clearly analyzing something. Xinyu called out from beside. Instructor, the main mission is to find number 325, not to find the orchid. The orchid's been found and little Sia's points have been credited. I won't dispute that, but finding number 325 still yields 300 points, right? Right, number 88 showed rare warmth towards her. If you find it, you'll get the 300 points just the same. Haha, with 300 points credited, I'll break through that damned threshold for the Qianlong gold medal, and then see how the reserve bullshit regulations can deduct my points. As her voice fell, Xinyu vanished, appearing atop the highest peak the next moment, overlooking the entire valley. It's no secret that Xinyu harbored intense hate for the reserve chapter. She dreamed of breaking through the 1,000-point threshold. Why, you ask? The Qianlong regulations made it clear. Below 1,000 points, the instructor can add or subtract points at any time. Cross the 1,000-point threshold, meeting the standards for the Qianlong gold medal. Once you become a Qianlong gold medal holder, it's a jump out of the jurisdiction of the reserve chapter, and the instructor no longer has the right to deduct your points. You move out from under the yoke of the detestable reserve chapter and into the purview of the Qianlong regulations. This just goes to show, this girl has a mountain of grievances against the instructor's deductions. Lin Zaiasu smiled slightly, and with a gentle blink, he entered reverse time. All he needed was to find this orchid, and he would be able to locate number 325. And to find number 325 means to follow his chain of actions to complete the main mission. So, entering Lao Mountain, the most difficult part wasn't to find number 325 himself, but rather any point where he might have left behind a trace. This was Lin Zaiasu's real trump card. In reverse time, Lin Zaiasu saw number 325. He was wearing dragon armor. But his dragon armor was clearly different from Lin Zaiasu's. His own armor wasn't truly dragon armor, but rather Reserve's fake dragon armor. He already knew from the data that the Qianlong set comprised of dragon armor, dragon scale, dragon eye, and dragon tendon, reserved only for official Qianlong members. Dragon armor, the protective suit one wears, differing with one's status. The genuine high-end dragon armor could be fashioned to look like everyday clothes, unrecognizable by others in society. It could even be tailored to individual preferences and made into high-fashion wear. Dragon scale was a dagger, made of a special alloy, sharp enough to slice hair and even pierce steel. Dragon eye were the glasses Chang Yi once displayed, powerful not in themselves but connected to a vast system. Dragon tendon was a mere rope to anyone else, but many in the Qianlong ranks preferred to use it as the king of hell's life-snatching noose. The color of number 325's dragon armor seemed to change all the time, with different light and surrounding colors affecting the armor's own hue. It was camouflaging material developed based on the principles of a chameleon skin. Number 325 opened the orchid bud on top and carefully extracted something resembling a bunch of grapes, pondering over it for a long time. The grapes were a distinctive golden hue. Certainly not something that should be growing within an orchid bud. Probably number 325 realized this, which is why he took the grapes but left the orchid behind. Of course, it might also be because the orchid was too large to move. After taking the grapes, He headed up the valley towards the mountaintop. Lin Zaiasu followed his trail. Chapter 23. Chapter 23 Major Discovery. Behind him, Chang Yi and Agent 88 carefully followed. Finally, they had entered his realm of expertise. Tracking by footprints, 2 days had passed. After enduring floodwaters and disturbances by wild animals in the forests, could he truly follow the trail of Subject 325? At least they themselves wouldn't be able to. But after following Lin Zaiasu for 700 or 800 meters, their eyes lit up. A footprint appeared on the wet ground, a mark left by a specialized shoe. This shoe was exclusive to Qianlong. This pair, who do you think is the true talent? Agent 88 sent his voice towards Chang Yi. Why can't both be talents? Said Chang Yi. That's true. Xinyu's unique skills only seldom have the chance to be showcased. She has always been struggling in fields she isn't skilled in. To achieve what she has in an area she's not adept at, she indeed qualifies as a genius. That's not the point. The key is that she still has a chance to stimulate her superpower, a privilege exclusive to the second-generation gene people. Some say that the second-generation gene people have the highest likelihood of awakening. Awakening? Even spoken from their mouths, these 2 words still carried an infinite sense of mystery. Second-generation gene people, this is indeed a profound topic, Agent 88 said. As a medicine master, what's your view on second-generation gene people? Our ancestors once said, fortune and disaster are intertwined. When applied to second-generation gene people, it's probably the most accurate judgment. Chang Yi's gaze suddenly lifted, staring at the figure of Lin Zaiasu above. Agent 88 also raised his gaze. Did you find something? Whoosh, both of them appeared beside Lin Zaiasu in an instant. From the side, Lin Zaiasu's face showed a panic-stricken expression. Taking a deep breath, Lin Zaiasu pointed to a lone cliff ahead. That's probably where he sent the photo from. Agent 88 exhaled. No worries, just climb up that cliff, you won't fall off. He thought that Lin Zaiasu's panic was because, as an ordinary person, he feared the extreme danger posed by the solitary cliff. However, he couldn't have imagined that Lin Zaiasu had seen a truly heart-stopping image. When Subject 325 passed by here, a white snake slipped through the grass with astonishing speed. Subject 325's reaction was bizarrely quick, spinning on 1 foot, moving 3 steps forward. Yet he still didn't completely evade the white snake's strike. The serpent slid past his leg, its scales flaring open like a sharp sword in the moment it passed, actually cutting through the dragon armor. Subject 325's sharp eyes were fixated on the grass below, when the white snake had already burrowed into the ground. He probably hadn't seen it clearly. But seeing the slash on his dragon armor, he was enormously shocked. This was the major discovery he mentioned. In these mountains lurked a mysterious entity capable of tearing apart dragon armor. But what exactly it was, he hadn't seen clearly. Lin Zaiasu saw it clearly. It was a white snake, which seemed just like any ordinary snake until it launched its attack. Its speed was more than 10 times that of normal snakes. Its scales could tear through dragon armor. How formidable dragon armor was. Even the fake dragon armor Lin Zaiasu wore wasn't something the wild beasts of the mountain could easily rip apart. Lin Zaiasu was panic-stricken because he suddenly discovered that, despite wearing formidable equipment and having 3 Qianlong experts at his side, should he encounter a sudden attack from the snake, he would still be doomed. Even these 3 Qianlong experts were in great danger. Lin Zaiasu climbed atop the solitary cliff, with Agent 88 following. He took out a communicator, checked it, and Agent 88 nodded slightly. Indeed, there are faint signals here. Subject 325 sent the photos from here. Next step is to trace his path down the mountain. When you were climbing earlier, did you see any signs of him descending? Chang Yi asked Lin Zaiasu. No, he didn't take the same path down the mountain. If he didn't go back the way he came, then it could only be there. Chang Yi pointed to a location where just moments before Lin Zaiasu had encountered the white snake, there was a ridge leading to another set of mountains. Lin Zaiasu nodded and returned to the spot where the white snake had appeared. Once again he saw Subject 325, who made the same move, even more pronounced than his own. He purposefully moved towards the tall grass area. He was using himself as bait to attract an unknown hunter to attack. In his hand he held a dragon scale dagger, his mind highly focused. In the modern society on the eve of the gene world, magical genes were coveted by all nations, Encountering a mysterious creature that could tear apart dragon armor, he regarded it as a major discovery. So, ignoring the dangers, he lured the hunter in the tall grass area. Yes, at this moment, he turned himself into the bait. Wouldn't the attacker be the hunter then? Of course, as a holder of the Qianlong gold medal, he was a hunter himself. Let's see whose skills are superior. Time ticked away by the second. Lin Zaiasu seemed to step into the role of the one he was observing. Involuntarily, he held his breath and focused deeply. Agent 88 and Chang Yi glanced at each other, confused, but they intuitively felt that Lin Zaiasu must have discovered something again. What could it be? Their gaze followed the direction of his eyeline, yet they couldn't discern anything. Within Lin Zaiasu's line of sight, the full picture of events finally became clear. It was so breathtakingly thrilling. As number 325 took a step forward, a white snake burst out from the ground with lightning speed. Its movement was so swift, it seemed less like a living creature and more like an arrow, shooting towards the lower abdomen of number 325. Number 325 had a freakishly quick reaction time. With a sudden movement, he reached out his hand, which was adorned with a pair of gloves giving off a blue glow, and firmly grasped the white snake. The white snake's tail lashed out violently, like a sharp sword sweeping across number 325's chest, splitting his dragon armor in two, blood spraying everywhere. But number 325's expression was as still as water. He held onto the violently struggling snake with a death grip. The strength of the snake's struggles was also unprecedented. A small snake, merely 2 feet long, was thrashing in his hands like a giant crocodile. Number 325's expression was ferocious. His veins bulged. Clearly, he was exerting all his strength. Nevertheless, the snake continued to slice at his dragon armor with its tail like a blade, tearing it apart, cutting through his flesh bit by bit. Lin Zaiasu was witnessing such an intense and brutal fight to the death for the first time, and her heart kept tightening. As time passed, the white snake eventually drooped down lifelessly. It seemed number 325 was about to successfully conquer the exotic white snake. However, what followed was an entirely new turn of events. From a cave behind number 325, suddenly 2 people burst out, both dressed like hunters. Their movements were unbelievably fast. The cold gleam of their blades shimmered. Number 325's eyes widened dramatically as a sharp dagger plunged accurately into his chest. Had his dragon armor not been torn by the white snake, perhaps the stab would not have been fatal. Had number 325 not engaged in that deadly battle with the white snake, in theory, he could have dodged this lethal blow, but the unprecedented fight had left him completely drained. On top of Lao Mountain, he met his unexpected end in the most inconceivable way. He was dead. His hard-won trophy became someone else's spoil of war, as the 2 assailants quickly cleaned up the scene, concealing any traces of blood. Soon, the grass was restored to its original state, which was precisely why they failed to notice at first glance that a bloody battle had occurred here. Lin Zaiasu took a step and swept the grass aside. Sister Chang'a focused her gaze, taken aback. Number 88 also spotted the bloodstain on the ground. He leaned down and a silver needle from his glove probed at the bloodstain. The light from his glasses flickered, database cross-referencing, and even though there were no signals here, his glasses had a unique feature. With storage capabilities, they held number 325's genetic information. Through data comparison, the conclusion came quickly. It's him. How was he injured? Sister Chang'a's face was very grim. With a swoosh, a figure that seemed both real and illusory rose from below. It was Xinyu. In a short time, she had scaled 2 mountain peaks, looking far into the distance, yet finding none of whom she sought, she could only follow the main force. Upon catching up, her heart sank. "See, you little rascal." Her voice cut off abruptly, because she saw the very grim look on Sister Chang'a's face. Xinyu's voice softened. "Sister Chang'a, what's wrong?" Sister Chang'a didn't answer her. Her gaze shifted to Lin Zaiasu. "Qianlong is wounded and it's no trivial matter. We need to hurry." Lin Zaiasu approached the cave. Sister Chang'a flickered to his side, highly alert. As she said, Qianlong being injured was no trivial matter. Normally, a fully armed Qianlong would never get injured. If they did, it signified a massive crisis. Lin Zaiasu had targeted this cave, which could potentially harbor danger. She was worried about destroying any forward clues and dared not walk ahead of Lin Zaiasu, but she needed to ensure if a crisis did arise, she could rescue him immediately. The cave was dark and seemingly untrodden, but upon closer inspection, signs of human activity could still be discerned. Ahead, light shone through, and as the four traversed the cave, a cliff appeared before them. Below the cliff was a water pond. Did the trail end here? Sister Chang exhaled softly. She had been holding her breath the whole way, only now letting it out. Lin Zaiasu nodded slightly. They went down from here, look. He pointed to a rock, its edge freshly broken, indicating that someone had descended from this spot. Down, number 88 tapped with the tip of his foot. His garment spread open like a glider, and he leaped down from dozens of meters in the air. Xinyu's body twirled, changing in midair, dropping more than 10 meters and landing on a tree, swinging and bouncing to steady herself on a branch. Sister Chang stretched out her hand, grasping Lin Zaiasu's belt. I'll take you down. Lin Zaiasu felt the wind by his ear, as Sister Chang's clothes also billowed. Her clothing differed from number 88's, who wore a standard bodysuit, the Qianlong uniform. Hers were more like ordinary clothes, the kind commonly seen in the outside world, but as she spread her arms, the seemingly typical clothes also transformed like a glider. Clearly, she too was wearing dragon armor, only that hers had returned to its essence, transforming dragon armor into everyday attire. Lin Zaiasu had been wondering about her exact ranking within Qianlong. Number 88 was arranging the actions, and she was cooperating. It seemed her rank wasn't as high as number 88's, which made sense. In Qianlong, being ranked number 88 was already a very high standing. However, number 88 spoke to her with an exceptionally gentle tone, and Sister Chang rarely spoke, but when she did, number 88 complied directly. From this perspective, Sister Chang's status seemed to surpass that of number 88. Now, another piece of evidence had emerged. Sister Chang's dragon armor was more advanced than number 88's. Who could she be? These were the thoughts going through Lin Zaiasu's mind as he glided down through the air. Chapter 24. Chapter 24, The Village on the Other Side of the Underground River. Three comrades in arms were deeply worried about number 325, their anxiety burning like wildfire. Only Lin Zaiasu was not the same as them. Because Lin Zaiasu had seen with his own eyes that number 325 was already dead. Those two murderers carried his body on their backs, leaped up, and directly dove into the deep pool, never to resurface. This layer was impossible to uncover using conventional detective methods. Ordinary thinking would suggest descending from the cliff naturally follows the path along the valley by the pool to another place. Who would have thought they actually went into the deep pool? Could there be a secret base in this pure, wild state of the deep pool? Lin Zaiasu stood by the pool, pretending to check the surroundings, shaking his head lightly. No traces. No traces? How is that possible? Chang Yi's heart leaped. The signs above are obvious, and below there is nothing but a body of pool water. Lin Zaiasu's gaze fell into the pool water. It was quiet all around, everyone's eyes focused on the pool water. Doesn't it feel strange? Lin Zaiasu said. The water rushing down from above is so swift. The amount is clearly substantial, yet the pool water does not overflow. Underground river, Chang Yi exclaimed. Do you suspect that number 325 was injured after jumping off the cliff and was swept away by the underground river? That's a possibility, Lin Zaiasu said. Shall we go down and check? Dive. Chang Yi and number 88 both pointed to their waists at the same time, and a strange helmet suddenly emerged around their necks, enveloping their heads. Lin Zaiasu did the same. Qianlong warriors are hexagonal warriors for sea, land, and air. Qianlong clothing inherently has diving characteristics. Once the helmet is activated, it becomes an oxygen-sustaining diving suit, capable of staying underwater for 5 hours. Lin Zaiasu's fake dragon armor also possessed this capability. They entered the water, and number 88 in the lead emitted a faint glow, guiding the people behind him. It was very dim underwater, but still, the entrance to the dark underground river, swirling and swallowing huge volumes of water, was clear to see. A figure glided past swiftly, turning back to give him a smug smile. Lin Zaiasu was startled. Xinyu. Damn! Xinyu was not wearing a helmet. She swam freely in the water like a fish. What kind of damn gene ability was this? Passing through the unpredictable underground river with the raging currents was a real test of courage. Although Lin Zaiasu never showed a frightened expression throughout the journey, His face inside the Qianlong suit was somewhat pale. He saw those two murderers entering the underground river's entrance with number 325, but what exactly was inside, he did not know. A soft hand extended from the side and grasped his hand. Lin Ziasu turned to see Chang Yi inside the Qianlong helmet, looking at him with a gentle smile, much cleaner and purely comforting than Xinyu's. Hand in hand, the two slid into the dark river. Amidst the rapid swirling of the current, they turned 7 or 8 bends in an instant, and accompanied by a splash, surfaced from an obscure cave, where the dark river turned into a visible river. On the river bank, distinctive footprints appeared. The appearance of these footprints made number 88's expression incredibly grim. These are human footprints, not number 325's. On the cliff, the wounds he suffered were not caused by wild beasts but by people, Chang Yi also said. Let's go, track these footprints and see who they belong to. Number 88 led the way, following the footprints upstream. Ahead was a cave entrance. They stepped out and saw a village outside. It was a very ancient-looking village. The brick and tile houses were dilapidated, isolated from the outside world, and without any electrical facilities. But there were people. An elderly woman sat in front of the decrepit house, sewing. Up the hillside in front of them were 7 or 8 vegetable patches, with lush greens, chili peppers, cucumbers, exuding the essence of rural life. An old farmer leaned on his hoe, his head askew as he looked at them. There's still a village here, Chang Yi looked around. It's normal to have a village here. In the big mountains, there are always some people who can't bear to leave their homeland. Number 88 said. I'll go ask if they've seen any strangers, Xinyu said. Lin Ziasu stepped forward, let me do it. Darn it, you even compete with me for asking directions without getting any points. Xinyu was annoyed. Lin Ziasu replied, I grew up in the countryside, I'm best at dealing with old farmers. Xinyu stopped, she couldn't refute that reasoning. Lin Ziasu slowly approached the old farmer, who also watched him. Everything seemed harmonious. This village looks quite old, over 100 years, right? The old farmer nodded slightly, without speaking. Lin Ziasu said, what about the village's people? The old farmer cracked a smile, raising his hand to point. Look, those going up the mountain, those heading to the river, everyone just busying themselves with little livelihoods, that's all the people we have here. Chang Yi followed his pointing hand, and indeed saw some people on various slopes. Lin Ziasu said, I'm asking about the real villagers, not you bandits. Chang Yi and number 88 both felt a jolt in their hearts. The old farmer slowly lifted his gaze, his eyes clouded. I don't understand what you're saying, I'm just a farmer. Lin Ziasu gently shook her head. Killing villagers to take over their ancestral homes, masquerading as villagers to engage in illegal activities. Although common deeds for bandits, you should at least do your homework and learn how to be a real farmer. Sorry, but your disguise is full of holes. Number 88, and Chang Yi's eyes turned cold as an autumn lake. Those people in their line of sight, under their keen attention, also seemed somewhat out of place. Yet the old farmer in front of Lin Ziasu still looked utterly perplexed. You talking about bandits? There are no bandits here, the villagers are too poor, what's there to rob? Up until this moment, he still very much resembled a farmer. Lin Ziasu tapped the ground gently with her toes. Old man, what are you doing here? Digging pits to bury corpses. Chang Yi's icy eyes suddenly shot toward the old farmer's hoe. There was fresh soil on the hoe. There was a freshly dug plot of land on the hillside. At first glance, it appeared to be a dug vegetable patch, but it could equally be plausible for burying bodies. Suddenly, the old farmer's hoe soared upwards. With the soaring hoe, dust flew everywhere. The dust obscured Lin Ziasu's line of sight as the hoe came straight for Lin Ziasu's head. Kai! A bullet spun through the dust, hitting the old farmer's wrist precisely, causing the hoe to fly from his hand. The man suddenly flipped over, tumbling down the cliff. Before he even hit the ground, a figure flashed in midair, like a hawk soaring through the sky. A slender palm sliced diagonally down, precisely cutting through the old farmer's neck. The old farmer collapsed with a thud, and Chang Yi's foot pressed onto the old farmer's back, her hair flying about. This image contrasted starkly with the impeccable lady she was known for, elegantly navigating the city. Number 88 leapt down, his hand shaped like a dragon's claw, digging into the fresh soil beneath, plunging 2 feet deep. With a thud, a body emerged, carried by his hand. As the dirt fell away, everyone's faces changed simultaneously. The body was wearing a tattered Kayan-long armor, unmistakably number 325. The quiet small village suddenly became a turbulent mess, seemingly thrown into chaos by Lin Zaiasu's gunshot. Number 88, staring at the corpse of his comrade, his face as somber as still water. "All in uniform," he declared. Taking the lead, number 88 jumped down the hillside towards a small stream below, where the two people dressed as villagers changed color simultaneously. Kai, a carrying pole in their hands, flew out, stabbing towards number 88 in the air. With a kick, number 88 turned the pole into a spear, stabbing one of them. His dragon scale vibrated in his hand, and a keen whistling filled the air. Thump! The spear sunk into the neck of one villager. The other was caught off guard by the pole, tumbling into the stream. Just as he touched the water, number 88's toes touched the ground, sliding past as though skating on the waves. Thump! His foot stamped on the man's head, sending him sinking into the stream. Lin Zaiasu's sharp eyes clearly saw brains scattered in the water. His eyes suddenly widened. Real killing. At the same time, Chang Yi moved fluidly like water, suddenly reaching the opposite hillside. Two men who looked like farmers leapt up, their hands no longer holding sickles but shiny daggers. However, the elegant Chang Yi suddenly became a wisp of light smoke. With the rise of the smoke, accompanied by a flash of silver light, two men fell to the ground, decapitated. Xinyu yelled, "They're really killing. Are these people actual villagers?" "Isn't that obvious? Look at their skills. Do they look like villagers to you?" Lin Zaiasu raised his gun, Kai, from a big tree above. A figure dropped down, dressed as a villager but holding a sniper rifle in hand. Xinyu rocketed upwards, lunging for the old lady above. The old lady seemed a bit slow. Despite the high-level combat unfolding below, she had been sewing at her doorstep all along. As Xinyu lunged, the old lady suddenly stood up, and the stool beneath her flew out of nowhere, crashing towards Xinyu. At the same time, she raised a spool of needlework in her hands, a faint glow shimmering. Xinyu's figure flickered, vanishing below the needle spool. The old lady's figure also flickered, disappearing as well. Two figures in front of the dilapidated little hut engaged in an explosive fight. To the naked eye, they would appear only as two swirling whirlwinds. Only Lin Zaiasu stood still, firing 7 shots from his gun. 7 shots took down 3 hidden snipers in the jungle. With his sharpshooting ability, he theoretically could have taken down 7 with 7 shots, but these were no ordinary snipers. They were genetic people. One avoided 3 of Lin Zaiasu's shots before being taken down by the 4th. Their ability to dodge bullets rivaled Xinyu's. Bang! With a loud crash, the white-haired old lady was kicked away by Xinyu, her head smashing against a rock, blood and brains spilling out. Xinyu locked eyes on the bamboo grove to the left with a loud laugh. "Ha ha, jungles are my favorite battleground." She dashed straight through. Down below, number 88's loud shout followed, Xinyu into the house. With that shout, 2 figures collided. Number 88 met with an expert, wrestling and rolling across the little stream. Xinyu said, "I'll clear this battlefield first." She charged into the bamboo grove, which was tumultuous as if swept by a tornado. Chapter 25. Chapter 25. First encounter with the 9-headed snake. Only Lin Zaiasu remained in place. With the gun in his hand, with the heavenly Tao wisdom eye, he eliminated all immeasurable threats around him. It was a desperate solution. His agility was his weak point. He couldn't even leap over a 5-meter-wide trench. Once he moved, he would reveal his weakness, giving the enemy an opportunity to exploit. Thus, his best tactic was to stay on the hillside, monitor the entire field, and shoot anyone who showed themselves. 10 minutes. A full 10 minutes. Number 88 let out a long howl, slashing down the formidable enemy with whom he had been entwined for a long time, and stepped in front of the cabin. With a flick of Chang Yi's finger, touching the emptiness, at the moment of contact, there appeared to be no one in front, but as her finger reached, a figure suddenly emerged and slashed at Chang Yi's finger. It seemed Chang Yi's finger had captured the position but lacked any real lethality. However, with a flick of her fingernail, a wisp of light fog drifted up. And with that, the formidable enemy fell. Poison. That was her forte. Lin Zaiasu saw everything clearly, filled with myriad emotions. The bamboo forest shook violently. Xinyu stepped off the ground, flew over the rooftop and landed in front of the cabin, face brimming with pride. Instructor, I took down 7 people, each worth 100 points. Just these alone make 700 points. My total score is secure. Her gaze shifted, and upon seeing Lin Zaiasu on the distant hillside, she chuckled. Lin Zaios, you're still at the starting point. Even if you were a tortoise, at least crawl to the edge of the trench. Whoosh! Chang Yi leaped into the air and shot toward Lin Zaiasu. Number 88 turned and entered the cabin behind him. Chang Yi arrived in front of Lin Zaiasu. Come on, I'll take you across. With a reach of her hand, she grabbed Lin Zaiasu's hand, and in the next moment they crossed the trench in front of them and arrived in front of the cabin, with Lin Zaiasu feeling as if his feet never touched the ground. They entered the cabin together. From the outside, the cabin seemed no different from a rural hut, but it had to be different, because the enemy's strongest person, an old lady, was always guarding in front of it. As the two entered the cabin, passing through the front, middle, and back rooms that looked just like those of an old rural house, they saw what was different. At the back of the house, where it connected to the mountain, a cupboard flipped over, revealing a door behind it. The door was already open. Entering the interior, it was a different world. Inside, it was as clean and modern as a control room. A row of machines flashed with red and green lights. At the very center, a computer with a middle-aged man collapsed in front of it. And in front of the computer, Xinyu was sweating profusely, her hands almost blooming with speed as they flew over the keyboard. On the computer screen in front of her, rows of code were scrolling up as fast as lightning. Amidst the code, the image of a devil with 2 crossed bones appeared. The devil even emitted a chilling laugh. With the laugh, a percentage prompt on the computer screen, 93%, 94%. Jumping about every 5 seconds. The symbol of 9-headed snake. Chang Yi's heart thumped. They are destroying computer data. Xinyu, hurry up. Xinyu's speed visibly increased, but the destruction percentage mercilessly approached 100%. Number 88's forehead also throbbed with bulging veins. He knew how important the research data inside was, yet as they broke into this secret room, the enemy had initiated the self-destruct program. Only 6% points left, half a minute. Can half a minute really solve this problem? To leave 9-headed snake with a set of research data from a secret base. In a fleeting moment, the time reached 96% and the very next 97%. It's too late, retreat, number 88 ordered gravely. Once the computer's self-destruct program started, it would destroy much more than just the computer storage. In line with the 9-headed snake's usual practice, the entire base would be obliterated. They had 15 seconds, barely enough time to escape. Chang Yi suddenly reached out and grabbed Lin Zaiasu, seemingly a conditioned reflex. In times of crisis, her priority was to protect him. But she grabbed at thin air. Unknown to her, Lin Zaiasu had already made his way to the wall on the left. In a dozen more seconds, this place would explode. No time to delay. Chang Yi pointed her toes and crossed a space of 10 meters. At the same moment, Lin Zaiasu swept through the wall. Crack! Another door opened under his hand. Number 88's eyes brightened instantly. Come on, Lin Zaiasu shouted, jumping down. Whoosh! 3 figures jumped down almost simultaneously. Above them, the stone slab closed. With a thunderous roar, the earth shook, and the control room above was completely ripped apart. Numerous rocks and dust poured down with a terrifying blast wave, rolling up all 4 of them and slamming them against the stone wall behind. In the instant when Lin Zaiasu was helplessly hurled toward the stone wall, a figure suddenly appeared behind him, reaching out to grab him fiercely, turned around and pressed him against the stone wall. Lin Zaiasu only felt a soft, jade-like warmth in his arms. Chang Yi. In the midst of the explosive shockwave, she used her body as a shield to protect him. This impact brought about a terrifying change, which was Lin Zaiasu's lips brushing against her flowing hair. As soon as he felt it, Lin Zaiasu's lips no longer seemed to be his own. His entire body didn't feel like his own. Just a moment ago, still immersed in the unique pleasure of soft jade-like warmth, the next instant, all his senses left him, and the silver fish in his brain also seemed to have sunk into the mire, slowly losing their way. Poison? She is poisoned, man. Am I poisoned to death by her? Must it be so ironic? This might be the last trace of Lin Zaiasu's consciousness. The next moment, his lips slowly regained their sense of touch. He felt a pill in his mouth, and centered around this pill, the nerves seemed to be slowly reactivated. Finally, the consciousness silverfish broke free from the mire and returned. He could move his whole body again. The surrounding dust and sand slowly dissipated, and Chang Yi's bright eyes looked at him in the darkness. "Are you all right?" "It seems I'm not injured." Chang Yi let out a long sigh. "If there's nothing wrong, walk for a bit. 88 and Xinyu might have found something new." They walked side by side through a natural cave, with light coming from ahead. It was the faint glow emitted from the Qianlong suit No 88, and under the dim light, a person lay on the ground, wearing a diving suit. Still an enemy, Chang Yi scanned the surroundings. This was a cave with nowhere to hide. There were many boxes, but the boxes were relatively small with nowhere to conceal a person. "This is probably the last one." Number 88 pointed at the person on the ground. "When the explosion above started, he wanted to run, but I stopped him." "It was we, he was stopped by us. Coach," Xinyu called out, emphasizing the word we, fearing to erase her own credit. "This is the place where they store various specimens." "Yes," number 88 confirmed. "Checked 4 boxes, all containing genetic samples. We must admit, Comrade Little Su made a major contribution." Just moments before the blast, with only the last dozen seconds, they should have followed standard procedure and fled the control room. Run as far as possible. If they had really done so, the control room's explosion would bury the specimen room beneath the rubble, and no one would think that there would still be specimens of value comparable to the research materials underneath. But Lin Zaiyasu thought of it. And in an extremely urgent situation, he opened the hidden secret door, allowing them to obtain the most valuable target of their mission. Xinyu's lips curled upward in the darkness, extremely displeased. She wanted to emphasize herself and belittle Lin Zaios, but how could she? She actually admired that scoundrel and could not sincerely utter words against her conscience. Chang Yi asked, "This person wanted to run, so he must be carrying the most important samples. Did you check his personal belongings?" "Just about to check." Number 88's hand reached towards the diver's suit. "Wait," Lin Zaiyasu said. Everyone's gaze turned to him. Lin Zaiyasu said, "The most important samples could be very special. Be careful, and be ready to react if there's any living creature." Only he knew among all present that there was one thing in these samples which could not be judged by ordinary standards. That was the white snake. He had been tracking this white snake. After being subdued by No 325, the white snake was snatched by these people, and then taken to this specimen room, now on this man in front of them. If the white snake were to violently struggle, even number 88 might have a tough time. Even if it wouldn't cost number 88 his life, if it escaped and hid in a crevice, it would still be a significant loss. It must be understood that this white snake was almost obtained at the cost of number 325's life. Number 88 gave him a deep look. "Step back." Chang Yi and Lin Zai also stepped back. Xinyu, filled with defiance. "Just specimens, spoken of so ominously, I doubt if you really have professional knowledge." Despite saying so, she still stepped back. Because the command was issued by number 88. She could be willful in front of Lin Zaiyasu, but she wouldn't dare to disobey number 88's orders. Because her life was firmly in the hands of number 88. The man's diving suit was carefully unzipped by number 88, and from the bag meant for storing items, there was only one thing, a metal cylinder. Number 88 held the metal cylinder, cautiously opening it as if diffusing a bomb. A puff of white vapor emerged, and as soon as the vapor appeared, the cave's temperature seemed to drop several degrees. Inside was a frozen white snake and a bunch of grapes. The white snake did not move at all, seemingly dead or possibly hibernating. Chang Yi lightly tapped on the white snake, her eyebrows slightly furrowed. The scale armor is incredibly hard and its structure is exceptionally unique. If all its scales are extended, its crawling speed would be unimaginable. That's why we need this special specimen bottle made of G95 material. Number 88 placed both the snake and the grapes inside the bottle, preparing to screw the cap back on. "Hold on," Chang Yi said, "don't put this with the snake." Number 88 reopened the bottle and took out the bunch of grapes, then closed the bottle. "What are these grapes?" "These aren't grapes. These are green orchid seeds extracted by number 325 from the mutated green orchid bud. They're his spoils of war." Chang Yi reached out and took them. "Hand these over to me for research." She was a grandmaster in plant research. Even among the entire Qianlong team, she ranked amongst the top 3. Thus, plant research was naturally within her expertise. Changyi took out another bottle similar to the first but much smaller, and put the bunch of grapes into it. Chapter 26. Chapter 26 Textbook-like action genius. Their conversation spared Lin Zaiasu a heap of trouble. He needed to remind them to be cautious of the white snake, which was extremely special and extremely dangerous, but such a reminder was not an easy task to bring up. Besides himself, no one else had known of its appearance in the previous journey. He couldn't possibly tell them that he could reverse time and that he had witnessed the white snake with his own eyes. That would be too horrifying. But one must admit the solid foundation of Qianlong. Chang Yi and number 88 with their Q&A solved all the problems. They adopted the correct method to handle the white snake. And so they did for this bunch of grapes. With the proper handling method, there would be no problem. Once they arrived at Qianlong headquarters, they would naturally realize how revolutionary this item was and could preclude all dangers in their research because Chang Yi had already precisely identified the dangerous aspects of it, such as the scale armor, which was incomparably tough, and the speed, which was unimaginably fast. Xinyu was lacking in this professional knowledge. Her gaze wandered as she asked, "Hey, two instructors, can I remind everyone not to get dizzy with victory? Although Lin Zios led us into this cave and we gained a bunch of stuff, he also led us into a dead end. How are we going to get out?" From her perspective, this was an absolute rational concern. The only passage had collapsed at this point, with sand and rocks pouring in, probably only an excavator could dig through. They, no matter how physically capable, were still human, not gods. How could they escape? However, Lin Ziasu smiled and said, "Think about it. Why would a person planning to escape wear a wetsuit?" Xinyu's eyebrows furrowed. "Escape through the underground river. Is there an underground river here?" As the saying goes, a crafty rabbit has 3 burrows. Someone planning to do misdeeds will always leave a back door. That's also why I dared to lead comrades into a deadly place. Seeing him in the wetsuit, I'm convinced I made the right gamble. Lin Ziasu strolled along and stopped at a spot in the cave wall after walking over 10 meters. He lightly raised his hand and patted the stone wall. The stone wall emitted a faint echo, slightly different from the solid stone. Boom! A small foot soared into the air. The stone wall shattered instantly, followed by the sound of rushing water from the underground river. Xinyu stood at the edge of the dark river, smiling triumphantly. "I opened the secret door. I won't ask for much, just 100 points." "Damn, your single kick is worth 100 points. Are points that easy to earn in your household?" Lin Ziasu exclaimed. "Why don't you try kicking then? If you can kick a huge hole in the stone wall, I'll give you this kick for free." So domineering, so unreasonable. A good door could be opened with a mechanism, yet you chose to smash it with your foot. You're as unyielding as a bull. Number 88 and Chang Yi exchanged glances, both seeing a look of admiration in each other's eyes. How many times in history has a mission transitioned someone directly from the reserve to the regular forces of Qianlong? Number 88 asked. Chang Yi smiled slightly. "In the world of geniuses, numbers are meaningless." "Does that mean you agree to endorse it officially, on our names?" Chang Yi said, "Considering the entire mission, in name you and I were in charge, but in fact, he led all aspects of it. Even if he's already a regular member of Qianlong, such flawless action is only seen in the classic cases of the Qianlong textbooks. Why wouldn't I agree? Let's go wrap this up." Number 88 took the lead and jumped into the dark river. Xinyu followed closely behind. Chang Yi took Lin Su's hand and said, "Let's go." The helmet of the Qianlong suit rose up, and the two exchanged a smile, stepping into the dark river. Within the dark river, there was a glimmer of light ahead. Following the light, they emerged from another pool of water. This pool was in another valley. They climbed a nearby mountain, and on the other side was a vague glimpse of a highway, and a city further in the distance. A year-round mist swirled behind in the valley. The dense mountains still filled their view. But now the signal was through. And there was positioning. Chang Yi stared at the fog behind. Beyond the fog, the signal came through. Could it be that this fog is the key to signal interference? This question had no answer at the moment. Number 88 raised his hand, sending a signal. Atop a mountain behind them, their autonomous flying vehicle soared into the sky, automatically steering to land before them. Number 88 approached Chang Yi. "I've made contact with headquarters. They will take over the follow-up cleanup work. We don't need to get involved." "Good." The application for Lin Zaiasu's transition to regular status has been sent, awaiting the council's approval. Cheng Yi smiled. A tremor went through Lin Zaiasu's heart. His application for regular status had been sent out. He was going to become a regular. One mission, from reserve to a regular member of Qianlong. Mom, I'm practically a civil servant, not officially, but the duty's prestige is 1,000,000 times better than a meteorological bureau worker. Hey, instructor, what about me? Me. Xinyu pointed to the tip of her nose. Sweat was even on the tip of her nose. Yeah, what about her? Lin Zaiasu was also a bit puzzled. Why did number 88 mention Lin Zaiasu's application for a full-fledged position, but not Xinyu? Xinyu started out with 853 points, and needed only 150 points to reach the full-fledged threshold of 1,000 points. During this journey, the girl worked so hard. How could she possibly not accumulate 150 points? According to the reserve chapter, Lin Zaiasu did a rough estimate, and her points should have increased by at least 700 or 800. You not enough points, still need to work harder, number 88 said. Xinyu leaped up furiously. My points are not enough. I took out 7 felons in the valley according to the chapter. Each felon is worth 100 points, that's 700. 700 plus 853, can't you do math? 1553, number 88 answered. Isn't that settled then? Past 1,000 points, why not approve this lady's full status? She got so agitated that she almost blurted out Granny. Luckily she caught herself in time, otherwise she would have lost points again. Number 88 spoke slowly. Don't forget, you have points deducted for infractions. What? Before entering the cottage, did I or did I not clearly issue a combat order, telling you to stop the ongoing fight and get inside? You did, but at that time. Number 88 interrupted her. If you had entered the cottage earlier, even if the enemy began the self-destruct sequence, wouldn't there have been ample time to react, a chance to interrupt the self-destruct sequence, thereby obtaining the enemy's research data? Yes, but at that time. Number 88 interrupted again. Does the reserve chapter specifically state that those with major dereliction of duty during operations resulting in significant losses will have all earned points wiped? It does, but at that time the battle was rapidly changing, and the enemy was already on my tail. Isn't it major dereliction if I deal with the imminent threat before following the superior's orders? I believe it is. Son of a, Xinyu jumped to her feet. Number 88 stared at her coldly. Come on, finish swearing. Xinyu suddenly turned to Lin Zaiasu. Lin Zaios, I curse your 8 ancestors. Lin Zaiasu was dumbfounded. What did I do? It's not about you, but Granny here has a vexed breath to release. Only swearing at you doesn't deduct points. Damn. Lin Zaiasu ran into the flying car. Cheng Yi also followed outside. Number 88 and Xinyu were like bulls locking horns. Inside the flying car, Lin Zaiasu's gaze shifted to Cheng Yi. He smiled lightly, lowering his voice. Why not authorize her full status? You've noticed, Cheng Yi also smiled lightly. Of course I've noticed. Her not becoming full-fledged has nothing to do with the operation itself. It's simply number 88 not allowing it. So even if she performs outstandingly, he will take corresponding measures to keep her locked in reserve. Throughout the operation, Lin Zaiasu watched everything, including the so-called major dereliction committed by Xinyu. This dereliction, how should it be put? It's completely subjective. You could say that because Xinyu did not follow her superior's orders, crucial data were destroyed. But if you consider the scene at the time, Xinyu saw the enemy close at hand. Could she not deal with the enemy first? In other words, whether Xinyu is commended or rule-breaking, all depends on the whims of number 88. Number 88 merely negated all her merits. Clearly, there was intentional suppression. Superiors deliberately suppressing subordinates is normal in any organization. But in an organization like Qianlong, Lin Zaiasu felt it shouldn't be the case, because this is a battlefield of blood and fire, where comrades should be genuine and sincerely interact. Cheng Yi said, not allowing her full status, that's my intention. Number 88 is taking the punishment for me. What? Her temper needs grinding. As long as she's in reserve, the reserve chapter reins her in. Even if she errs, it's not too severe. But once she becomes an official member, breaking the rules means being bound by the Qianlong regulations, which lack flexibility. Lin Zaiasu was taken aback. Is this protection carefully considered? When her grandfather left for Luoba State, he entrusted her to me. How could I not protect her? You could have just told her outright. Chang Yi sighed softly. How to tell her? She's not stupid. She's long suspected that there's a hidden hand keeping her from becoming full-fledged. She's even put that hand at the top of her grudge list, hating with gritting teeth every day. If I tell her the person you've been bitterly chasing, the person you've cursed to the point of digging up your ancestral grave, that person is me, this sisterhood would flip over. So better to let number 88 take the fall. Anyway, he ranks second on Xinyu's grudge notebook. Lin Zaiasu rubbed his forehead, his gaze drifting away. Think I'm being fake? Chang Yi's gaze floated over. Cough, cough. That's because you don't know how disruptive she is, nor have you dealt with the Qianlong regulations. You don't understand just how inhumane the Qianlong regulations are, Chang Yi said. Her voice abruptly stopped, because Xinyu ran over with a frenzied little expression. Number 88 came over too, squeezing into the flying car. The flying car started up, soared over Lao Mountain, and inside squeaking sounds persisted throughout the trip. It was Xinyu, grinding her teeth in frustration. Chapter 27, The Judgment of Circuit Breaking. Even if someone was gnashing their teeth in anger on the inside, they would not necessarily show it on their face, yet she just couldn't hide it. Anyway, showing it on her face wouldn't deduct points. Anyone who hears this voice, sees this expression, would ask, what happened to you? But the three people in the car don't ask. The flying car zoomed past the Yangtze River, getting closer and closer to Lin Zaiasu's hometown. Suddenly, the interior of the flying car lit up slightly, as a document seemed to come through from the starry sky. At the top of the document, it was titled, Lin Zaiasu's Application for Regularization. Below that was a red annotation. A big red X, followed by a line of red text. After review, this reserve does not meet the criteria for regularization. A bright red seal, Qianlong Review Committee. Lin Zaiasu was stunned. The expression on number 88's face suddenly darkened. Chang Yi's face also changed dramatically. Rejected, for what reason? Her finger lightly flicked, touching an attachment. The attachment opened, and inside was a criminal judgment. Lin Yaejun, sentenced on July 3, 2098 of the Daxia calendar, to 12 years in prison for murder. Lin Zaiasu is the grandchild of Lin Yaejun, and in accordance with Article 177 of the Qianlong regulations, direct blood relatives within 3 generations of serious offenders shall not be admitted into Qianlong. Chang Yi slowly said, when he was accepted into 101, this record had already been checked 8 times, and at that time, no one raised any objections, yet now it has leapt out and directly cut off his path. Number 88's face was extraordinarily grim as he responded. The term, serious offender, specified in Article 177, generally refers to crimes of treason or espionage. There has never been a case of involuntary manslaughter. I know about this, Xinyu sprung up. His grandfather was actually acting bravely for a just cause at the time, and the death caused was purely accidental. His grandfather also died as a result of this incident, and Lin Zaios wasn't even born yet. Why can't he be admitted into Qianlong? No, we must appeal. We must appeal. Chang Yi lightly pointed to the screen in front of her. That's precisely the problem. The red X represents the final judgment. Appeals are not accepted. I'll curse his 8 ancestors. Xinyu slapped her own forehead, staring at Lin Zaiasu, and exhaled lightly. Lin Zaios, you're even more wrong than me. The car cabin was very quiet, suffocatingly quiet. 1 minute, 2 minutes. Lin Zaiasu's gaze slowly withdrew from the notice. In front of him were the faces of his 3 comrades. Some angry, some sorrowful. Lin Zaiasu smiled faintly. His smile was still calm and serene. For a moment, the 3 comrades didn't know what to say. A dazzling talent, a Qianlong hero who had made major contributions in action, received such a verdict upon his triumphant return. No one could accept it. But they were Qianlong's people, bound by their duties and disciplines, and could not question their superiors. They didn't even know how to comfort him. Lin Zaiasu gently said, I'm home now, could you let me get off? Let me go home. The flying car suddenly came to a halt in midair. Below the flying car, it was the peak of Tashin. No one in the car spoke. Number 88's finger rested on the Hoover button, trembling lightly. He was home, he was going home. This time, he would also officially leave Qianlong. From then on, this outstandingly talented comrade was no longer their comrade. Probably only those who have truly experienced the bond of comradeship can understand how unbearable this feeling is. The flying car slowly descended, and finally it landed atop the trees, stopping on a cliff. The door of the flying car opened, and Lin Zaiasu's fingers pressed against his waist. With a click, the Qianlong suit was removed and placed on the seat as he got out of the flying car. Chang Yi followed him all the way, walking on the mountain path. This path, on the north side of Tashan, weaving through the treetops, afforded a faint glimpse of the county city below. The mountain wind blew, bringing a chill to the body. "I'm sorry," Chang Yi's voice came through softly. "Sorry for what? You shouldn't have given me a glimpse of this perilous beauty." Lin Zaiasu's voice was very calm. Indeed, ever since the notice appeared, he had remained undisturbed like someone who hadn't experienced major ups and downs. Chang Yi let out a soft breath. "Subjectively, I didn't want this to happen, but objectively, I've botched your civil service exam. I've completely altered your path." Lin Zaiasu smiled. "You're worried I won't make it in this mundane world. That's the last thing I'm worried about. That's right, you have to believe that at any time I can live better than most people. So no need to say sorry, you never wronged me. Just this matter." Lin Zaiasu gently raised his hand, stopping her. "Chang Yi, there are some things that should be done, not said." Chang Yi took a deep breath and stopped. Lin Zaiasu also stopped, standing at the edge of the cliff. In front of them, the mountains were in full bloom. They seemed to have walked a stretch of a spring outing together. But now, there was no more path, only a sheer cliff ahead. Qianlong has its own standards. If you were a Qianlong member, this mission would have earned you points, but now you're not. You should receive financial compensation, Chang Yi said, smiling lightly. 300,000 in cash. It's been transferred to your account. With a ding, Lin Zaiasu picked up his phone, which displayed a transfer of 300,000 yuan. Lin Zaiasu stared at the string of zeros. This is Qianlong's reward. Of course. Lin Zaiasu smiled slightly. Don't forget I also spent half a month in Unit 101. I know that even if there is a reward, it must go through a lengthy approval process. It couldn't possibly be this fast. This matter. It's not your place to pay out of your own pocket. Fingers lightly tapping on the refund button. 300,000 yuan, returned the same way it came. He was still so shrewd, so insightful, and so skilled at predicting things like a god. Chang Yi sighed lightly. You should know, being in Qianlong, I actually don't need money. But you need it. Come on, you don't need money. You give me 10,000 yuan for investigation expenses and still expect a red envelope from my mom as 1 in 10,000. With those words, Chang Yi chuckled. The atmosphere instantly shifted from tension to relaxation. I'm saying goodbye to 88. Lin Zaiasu walked to the other side of the cliff. Stood on the edge of the cliff, looking at the sky with an extremely stern and grim expression, perhaps the gloomiest throughout the operation. If you were still my instructor, I probably couldn't be this forward in front of you, but now I can. Lin Zaiasu said with a light smile. So tell me, a handshake or a hug? 88's arms slowly opened, his expression changing like clouds and wind. With a gentle embrace, Lin Zaiasu stepped away, and a petite and delicate beauty stood at the crossroads, looking somewhat lost. Hey Xinyu, congratulations. Xinyu looked at him in disbelief. Congratulations for what? If you consider who would join Qianlong first between you and me as a competition, you won effortlessly. Isn't that worth congratulations? What nonsense are you talking about? I do want to win against you, but that's through my actual skills, not by comparing whose stab in the back is more sinister. Xinyu jumped up. I absolutely loathe such foul play. I've recorded a bunch of names in my little notebook, and now I've added another one, the person who schemed to expel you from Qianlong. I'll bring their heads to you as an offering. Ah, not to your grave, but to light incense. Lin Zaiasu had a cringing expression. To the grave or lighting incense, isn't it the same thing? Are you cursing me to unswervingly follow the path to death? Xinyu seemed to realize her slip of the tongue and quickly switched topics. Stretching out her hand, a green leaf appeared in her palm, which she carelessly scratched with her fingernail, drawing a smiley face on the green leaf. She handed it to Lin Zaiasu. Here? What's this supposed to mean? A smiley face, can't you see the encouragement? Xinyu glared at him. Lin Zaiasu looked at the leaf. This is an orchid leaf. Yes. Suddenly giving me this leaf. Why do I smell the same vibe as the day you served me tea? What do you mean? Xinyu jumped again. Serving him tea meant poisoning him. That was a fact, but am I poisoning you today? Xinyu's specialty was dealing with the complacency of others. How could she possibly engage in such a despicable act of kicking someone when they're down? This orchid plant is rare, right? If someday someone found this stuff in my house, wouldn't it be a violation of some protection regulation, and a bunch of uncles would catch me and put me to work on a sewing machine? I'm done. She really got called out by him, even if his reason is so far-fetched. Xinyu rolled her eyes. Rest assured, if anyone really troubles you, don't I still have the Qianlong gold medal? I'll use my privilege to get you off the hook. Lin Zaiasu sighed in admiration. No wonder you haven't been promoted. Your principles are like rubber. I are your 8 ancestors. Will I die if you don't mention promotions? Always bringing up the worst topic. Let's fight it out before I go. Xinyu sprang up, and Lin Zaiasu ran away in a panic. As he left, he still took the orchid leaf given to him by Xinyu. Do you see it? A voice from 88 drifted into Chang Yi's ears. He's deliberately creating a relaxed atmosphere. That's obvious to us all, Chang Yi replied, but you know what? He also noticed something. What did he notice? Chang Yi said, he mentioned something, some things are done, not spoken. When he said that, it was quite meaningful. Lin Zaiasu had already descended from the mountaintop, leaving the jungle behind and taking the winding road that would lead directly to Qingyuan Temple. The mountain breeze carried the faint fragrance of orchids. Above the clouds, a vehicle entered the depths of the cloud layer in a way invisible to the common eye, symbolizing that his journey had truly come to an end. However, Lin Zaiasu sat down in a pavilion on the mountain. A serious look appeared on his face. Just as 88 had noticed, he was deliberately maintaining a light-hearted atmosphere. To those who have never been soldiers, it's hard to comprehend what the sentiment of camaraderie truly feels like. He hadn't been a soldier, but the operation itself was the best way to experience the bond among comrades. After this journey, he had 3 comrades in arms. Parting ways with comrades from now on diverging paths, feeling stirred, with nowhere to vent. Only a light-hearted atmosphere could bring peace of mind to each other. This is what 88 had seen. And like Chang Yi said, Lin Zaiasu himself also discovered certain things. Like this notification. Or rather a verdict, judging that he was not allowed to join Qianlong because of his grandfather's case from years ago, triggering one of the prohibitive thresholds of the Qianlong regulations. He knew about his grandfather's case. The fact that his grandfather mistakenly caused a death was true, even though the victim was a village tyrant who had done many wrongs. His grandfather went overboard in the beating, resulting in the man's death, and indeed it was a legal violation, warranting a 12-year sentence which was totally lawful. There was no injustice. Actually, in his home village, this incident didn't even count as a shameful matter. The villagers even felt regret and sighed for his grandfather. When Chang Yi considered him a seed candidate and reported it to the higher-ups, it went through a month-long investigation and vetting process. The archives of his ancestors for 8 generations were probably turned upside down. This case clearly had already passed scrutiny. Everyone thought that Lin Zaiasu's grandfather, who had passed away even before Lin Zaiasu was born, was guilty of manslaughter, which had no necessary connection with whether Lin Zaiasu should fight for the country. Hence, he was accepted into Project 101. But now, just because of this already vetted case, his entry into Qianlong had been vetoed. Why? Chapter 28. Chapter 28. The Ancient Martial Inheritor in the Martial Arts Hall. Procedures are not the reason. Rules and regulations are not the reason. The only real reason was that, during this operation, Lin Zaiasu displayed such astonishing capabilities that it aroused the fear of some people within Qianlong. Thus, they used the most resolute stance to reject his membership, not even giving him the chance to appeal. Where there are people, there are Jianghu. Even if this place is the holiest of grounds. Those who have done shameful deeds, just like field mice clad in dazzling clothes, what do they fear most? Cats. No, even if cats are by their side, unable to see through their disguise, thinking they are humans, they would never be able to catch them. What they fear most are a pair of perceptive eyes. As long as these eyes enter the room, they are uncertain if they can deceive them. Once exposed, what awaits them are the sharp claws of the cat. The best method, of course, is to keep these perceptive eyes out of the door forever, never letting them close. If Lin Zaiasu were still a naive young boy who has never set foot outside his home, he would only feel dejected about the blocked path. However, he is not. He is a person with the human Tao orchid heart, a mind that spirals. He is also someone who has seen numerous war spy cases, each case extending in his mind, hinting at the intricate and chaotic nature of the world. At his age, without yet having gained a year, his mindset has long since changed. He told Chang Yi, "Some things you do but don't talk about." Chang Yi understands. So they didn't discuss, each went their own way. Lin Ziasu descended Tashin, took a deep breath, hopped into a taxi and drove straight home. Upon returning home, he immediately saw his mom busy in the vegetable garden. Lin Ziasu, from a distance, plastered a smile on his face and affectionately called out, "Mom." Down on the ground. Mom's hands trembled. Slowly she lifted her head, staring blankly at him. Lin Ziasu approached her from behind. "Hey, the seaweed I planted last time has grown this big. This is the fruit of my labor. I called you so many times, but every time you were out of the service area. What happened?" Mom's chest gently heaved. "We went to an underground city, and there was no signal there." Underground city? Is there such a ghostly place? Yeah, there are all kinds of games inside, even cinemas and bars. Many people stay and play for years. But I was good, just playing for a week to distress from the intense revisions, Lin Ziasu said. "Oh, you still releasing stress from long-term revision. Now you're getting sassy with your old mother," Mom said, "and this exam you've fallen behind again." Lin Ziasu's face changed. "Results are out. I just asked your cousin to check before I left. You weren't on the interview list." "Second defeat how? How can one go on living?" Lin Ziasu slapped his own forehead. The distress on his face pained Mom, who quickly grabbed his hand. "Son, don't be like this, you can do it, definitely. Isn't there another national exam in half a year? Let's try again. If the second attempt doesn't work, we'll go for the third, the fourth." The vegetables were left unharvested, going home to cook something delicious for her son. Watching Mom busy in the kitchen, Lin Ziasu felt slightly proud. The first hurdle passed. If Mom knew that the son had given up the civil service exam on his own, she'd definitely pick up a wooden stick to discipline him, beating him without a discussion. But just looking at the final interview list, Mom would have a different way of handling it. Her son fell behind, heart aches. How could a mom beat him then? Make good food to comfort him. But Mom is too keen on the civil service. The next step is still difficult. He needs to find a way to sever Mom's thoughts first. Lin Ziasu tapped his fingers lightly on the table, racking his brains. When the meals were ready, Lin Ziasu gobbled them down while Mom sat next to him sipping tea. Eventually she cautiously asked, "Did you ask your girlfriend if she was awake?" "Is it necessary?" "What do you mean, is it necessary?" "It's very necessary," Mom said. "If she's awake, you have to beware that she might sever her beloved one after coming ashore." "My goodness. Mom, where did you learn these trendy words?" "From watching short videos, everyone is saying it. Civil service is a trench if the man's in but the woman's not. There's hope for the future if the man's out but the woman's in. 9 out of 10 will wield the sword to sever their beloved. This is human nature. Mom, think of it this way, if she is that kind of person, it's better to be severed. If not, she won't wield the sword. Adversity shows true character. Time reveals the heart." "That makes sense, but let's make a call first." Lin Ziasu had no choice but to pick up his cell phone, stepped outside, and pretended to make a call, returning with a beaming smile. "She hasn't woken up." Mom was puzzled. "She hasn't woken up and you've got a radiant face." Lin Ziasu said. "She gave me a new idea. I think it's pretty good." She said, "Why not we give up the exam and start a business together to make big money?" "What?" Mom glared fiercely. That was a cardinal sin to her. Lin Ziasu added again, "This is little Yi's idea." Mom's eyebrows quivered and slowly relaxed. Lin Ziasu looked at her expression, starting to tentatively touch her cardinal sin. Little Yi's girlfriend was now set on doing business and making money in the underground city. They had discussed this many times already, and she had a fixed idea that doing business would bring in money. She even said that if he agreed to do business together, they would continue their relationship. If not, they would break up. "Now I'm listening to Mom. You want me to find a wife? I will find a wife. You want me to dump this no-hoper? I'll break it off with her immediately, ready for a third battle." Mom paced around the living room 3 times, drank 2 bowls of tea, put down the teacup, went out the door and didn't utter a single word. The sun set in the west, and Mom came back. She put down the hoe, heavily went to wash the clothes. She was washing. Lin Ziasu helped her hang them. The final piece of clothing was spread out. Mom raised her head and declared with much resolve, "Forget it, you guys decide on your matters." "Mom, are you not forcing me to take the civil service exam anymore?" Lin Zaiasu was a bit surprised. He thought that such a serious change would take a few days to slowly adjust to, but surprisingly, Mom figured it out in just an afternoon. Mom gently shook her head. "Why did Mom force you to take the civil service exam? Just because it would make finding a wife easier for you in the future. If you could really make it work with little Yi, as long as she doesn't mind, what do I have to say?" "Don't worry, she won't mind. She even has some money when I came back. She even wanted to give me 300,000. You stop fooling your mom. Is there really such a girl? If there really is, your mom would break the pot, sell the iron, sell these two shabby houses and get you married." At this sunset, Lin Zaiasu finally understood. In Mom's mind, the key elements are also prioritized. Finding a wife is the top priority. Taking the civil service exam comes second. Hence, you shouldn't mess up finding a wife because of the exam. That would be a loss not worth the gain. Back in his own study, Lin Zaiasu felt like he had taken off heavy winter clothes, lifted his hands, and threw the reference books on the table into a large box, stuffing it under the bed. He also tidied up the books on the bookshelf. After all this, he took out something. A leaf. This was a leaf from the green orchid in Lao Mountain, which had a smiley face etched into it by Xinyu's fingernails. This girl, always on the opposing side, obstinate like a bull, and unpredictable like the mists of Lao Mountain. But in the end, she gave him a leaf, drawing a smiley face on it as a gesture of comfort. Is this the reward for this adventure? He tucked the leaf into a book. Someone knocked on the door from outside the yard. Is little Sue back? It was second aunt's voice. "Who yes, Mom?" Mom opened the door, and Lin Zaiasu also came downstairs, meeting second aunt in the living room. It had been half a month since they last saw each other. Second aunt looked a bit haggard and immediately asked when she saw Lin Zaiasu, "Little Sue, have you seen Diane?" Yes, her daughter was taken away by the provincial public security department, and she had heard nothing from her for half a month, couldn't get through her phone. She was almost frantic. She even went to Tashin Kingyuan Temple during the day to pray for her daughter, and just came back to find out Lin Zaiasu had returned, so she came over immediately. "I saw her, second aunt, don't worry. Diane is doing well." With one sentence, second aunt's face visibly blushed. "Then why hasn't she come home? Her phone is also unreachable." "Hasn't she come back yet?" "Oh right, she mentioned that the national team was interested in her, wanting her to fight for the country, must be closed training." Mom joyfully laughed. "Sister-in-law, I always said, Diane, this girl has a lot of potential. She'll make great achievements someday. Now she's a national team martial arts athlete. That's honoring the ancestors." Second aunt's face glowed. "I'm just worried that this girl may behave like last time, frequently breaking rules." No, Lin Zaiasu reassured. "With closed training, these are all the basics. When she comes out, she'll be transformed entirely." "That's great. Little Sue, I've said it, in this world besides me and your second uncle, it's only you who are good to her." They had a warm and joyful visit. Second aunt's concerns were completely dispelled, proving that as long as discussions didn't involve subjects like second uncle's nighttime whereabouts or widow Feng taking a bath, second aunt was quite normal and they had a pleasant chat. Lin Zaiasu smiled throughout, completely relaxed. National team, he wasn't exactly lying to second aunt. Qianlong, isn't that essentially the national team? Martial arts. Indeed, it was genuinely freestyle martial arts. As for Huya's current situation, he didn't know, but no news was good news. Her genetic mutation enhanced her combat capabilities, securing her a place in Qianlong. Members of Qianlong, fighting for the country, indeed counted as fighting for national glory. Sister-in-law, now that Diane will be part of the country's team, is she still going to keep the martial arts hall open? Mom shifted the topic. Second aunt laughed. That martial arts hall, she was just messing around with it, just invested 10,000 to 20,000 yuan, collected half a year's salary. The cost has long been recovered. Running that isn't promising, now she's on the right track. Now that she's gone, her friend surnamed Miao is temporarily covering for her. I'll tell her tomorrow, no need to cover anymore. Diane might not come back. Miao surnamed, Lin Zaiasa's heart stirred, from Huashi Bridge Miao family. Chapter 29. Chapter 29, Ancient Martial Inheritor Miao Rulan. The Miao surname is quite rare. But in this county, There's a family with the Miao surname that is very famous. Isn't that right? It's the Huashi Bridge one. The Miao family is known for martial arts. My Diane is such a tomboy, always fighting. She gets along really well with Miao Rulan. The Miao family, Miao Rulan. Ripples stirred in Lin Ziyasu's heart. The Miao family, an ancient martial family. In Daxia country, there are not many ancient martial families left. In fact, they are very rare. Why? Because throughout the dynasties, ancient martial families were always very taboo. In ancient times, committing offenses with the prowess of martial arts became synonymous with defiance. As Daxia country entered the civilized era, the absolute main theme was rule by law, and it was no longer an era of constant fighting. Martial arts gradually lost their significance. Those ancient martial families also became restrained, never publicly boasting about their martial arts skills. On the contrary, they consciously downplayed their martial arts heritage to blend in with the masses as much as possible. Otherwise, every one of their descendants would become the focus of attention, and their lives would be impossible to live right. For a long time, the Miao family lived an idyllic life in Huashi Bridge village, indistinguishable from the ordinary rural folk. It was a chance occurrence that brought this ancient martial family to the surface. That was 30 years ago, when Miao Rulan's father, Miao Sanqiang, came into conflict with a local bully in the village. Taking advantage of being a local, the bully, along with his entourage of more than a dozen people, intended to force the Miao family who immigrated here from Zhao Xiang province 70 years ago out of Huashi Bridge. At the time, Miao Sanqiang was still young, and in his youthful vigor he stood up against them. In front of many villagers he performed a martial arts spectacle. Those hoodlums armed with clubs and knives were thrown by him, one by one, into a sewage ditch 10 meters away. When the bully tried to sneak attack from the back, Miao Sanqiang caught his wrist with a reversal, and with a slight exertion of force, the bully's wrist bones shattered. This powerful grasp truly shook the entire county. To crush an adult man's wrist bones with a mere grip, how strong must that be? Because of this, he compensated the bully's family with a pig for medical expenses. But also because of this, the Miao family was no longer bullied by anyone. Lin Ziyasu suddenly developed an interest in ancient martial arts due to his own peculiarities. Everyone knew that physical fitness was Lin Ziyasu's weak point. Number 88 knew, Chang Yi knew, even Xinyu was aware. Of course, he was even more aware of it himself. While at 101, he had considered if he should explore genetic transformation. Had it been before, he would have dismissed the thought because the cost of genetic transformation was astronomical. He didn't know the specific amount, but with a little thought, it surely wasn't something a few plots of vegetables could sustain. But by joining Qianlong, everything became possible. As long as he performed outstandingly, a free genetic modification by Qianlong was indeed possible. However, after thorough reading of the Profound Emperor's Inner Scripture, he hesitated. The Profound Emperor's Inner Scripture offers an exceedingly high-end, mysterious positioning of the human body. In this system, the human body is like the universe. Every meridian, every breath, every organ is a component of this cosmic system. Various complex and subtle organs operate flawlessly together, making up an almost impeccable human body. Its essence was to expound its medical theory. But Lin Ziyasu focused on the theory's foundation. The human body is perfect as it is. By developing the body, one can naturally break through various limitations and amplify human potential step by step. Genetic principles, on the other hand, ran counter to this theory, a completely different direction. It wasn't about developing oneself, but about stimulating the body with foreign genes. Genetic transformation has fatal flaws. Because it breaks the balance, it disrupts the natural evolution of the human body. If you accept the basic theoretical framework of the Profound Emperor's Inner Scripture, the human body is inherently perfect, then you should not allow such chaotic addition of foreign materials. Lin Ziyasu's theory was not yet fully formed. He could not judge which of these two theories was superior, so he wanted to wait and see, not blindly follow the trend. Not following the trend also meant that he was currently opposed to genetic transformation. However, rejecting genetic transformation also meant that he could not improve his physical shortcoming. And now, a new method of improvement appeared. Ancient martial arts. Ancient martial arts are inner family martial arts that maximize the strength and power of the flesh without destroying its genetic integrity. He didn't need a very strong body, just one that wouldn't be a significant drag on his eyesight and reaction speed. Second aunt, I'll go tomorrow. I'll talk to her since I have to go to the county town anyway, Lin Zaiasu said. That would be great. These troubled times have made me quite anxious. I've let my vegetable garden grow weeds. I need to be busy for a few days. The second aunt happily responded and went back home without worrying about her daughter anymore. The next day, Lin Zaiasu went to the county town. In Nancheng Development Zone, he arrived at the familiar martial arts hall. Today happened to be the weekend, and there were children taking classes in the martial arts hall. The gatekeeper, an old man, was very polite, opening the side door for him and offering a cigarette. Little Sue, Director Joe has said several times that he wanted to invite you for a meal. You're here today, so it's perfect. Uncle, you recognize me. Lin Zaiasu declined his cigarette, a bit surprised. Wasn't there a child who was kidnapped last time? Thanks to you, the child was rescued. I was there that day. The old man casually clipped the declined cigarette on his ear. Uncle, you have a really good memory. It's been such a long time. Hee, that's the knack of a gatekeeper. Not to hide it from you, standing on this street day in and day out, I remember pretty much everybody. The gatekeeper showed a mouthful of nicotine-stained teeth, quite proud of himself. Pretty much everybody is a local expression, meaning approximately or quite close. Uncle, did that teacher named Miao Ruelen come today? She did. Let me check if she's teaching. Can I go in and have a look? Lin Zaiasu said. The uncle chuckled. It definitely wouldn't be okay for others, but it's different for little Sue. You're the hero who saved the kid. You definitely wouldn't harm the children. Lin Zaiasu went in. It was quite different from ordinary schools. Ordinary schools are for academic teaching. Classrooms have desks and blackboards. Here they teach fighting. The classrooms only have training equipment. And the spacious outdoor sports field largely serves as the lecture platform. More than 30 kids were formed in a circle, and in the middle of the circle was a girl who somewhat overturned Lin Zaiasu's understanding. Was she Miao Ruelen? Lin Zaiasu had never met Miao Ruelen, only heard of her, heard that she is a direct heir of an ancient martial family. Naturally, an image of a valiant woman came to mind in his head. She must at least be like Huya to live up to the reputation of a direct heir of the ancient martial family, right? However, seeing her now, it was completely overturned. She was only about 1.5 meters tall, very slender with 2 braided pigtails, and her face still seemed to carry a childlike innocence. A very ordinary outline, judging by looks alone, 6 out of 10 points at most, the type that gets lost in the crowd on the street. Students, her voice was light, just 3 words. The children around her were giggling and frolicking. Her voice was like a mosquito's buzz. The children didn't hear her, and she herself turned red with embarrassment and raised her voice. Students, listen to me. The children quieted down a bit, but the noise persisted. Miao Ruelen said, Today I will teach you all to practice the horse stance. The horse stance is key to practicing Kung Fu. A child interrupted her. Teacher, before Teacher Li taught us martial arts. This is also martial arts, the basics of martial arts. Miao Ruelen's face turned even redder. Watch me demonstrate. Her tiptoe lightly scored across the ground as she assumed a horse stance. Lin Zaiasu's eyes widened in shock, his heart throbbing. A light movement, but to his eyes it was shockingly moving. As if water flowing over land, extremely natural, extremely light. As her tiptoe scored across, the cement dust on the ground rose just as lightly as her movement. However, as soon as her horse stance was set, the dust, previously as light as clouds in a valley, suddenly fell, forming a Tai Chi pattern. This was not a natural fall of dust, this was under her control. To put it more mystically, one horse stance established her domain within a 3-meter radius. Within this domain, even the air must obey her. What kind of mastery was this? This effortless yet also weighty movement had a more profound impact on him than genetic people did. Director Joe, this teacher of yours, not good. A female voice came from the office next to them. Lin Zaiasu's gaze shifted toward that window. It was old Joe's office, where he was sitting across a tea table from a well-dressed young woman. She is an ancient martial inheritor. Her family also taught her this way. Old Joe seemed a little embarrassed. We send our children over just to let them exercise, to strengthen their bodies. We didn't think about learning martial arts. You're running a martial arts hall, not focusing on physical training but instead standing still like an idiot. What's the point? The young woman said. If you continue like this, I will take my child back. The martial arts school in the East City has approached me several times. To be frank, I also think there's a problem, but the situation is special, right? Lee Diandian has not returned. Director Joe, we know each other well, let me be blunt. I don't think Lee Diandian was good either. Even if she wasn't great, replacing her with this Meow surname is even worse. Well then, let's not make things difficult for you. I'll take my child and go. The young woman stood up. Old Joe was anxious. This woman was not just any ordinary customer. She had quite some influence in Fengcheng. At least half of the students in the martial arts hall were brought in by her. If she leaves, the student count would drop by half in the blink of an eye. Once the news spreads, the remaining half would hardly be retained. Without students, his martial arts hall would truly be finished. Miss Sun, Sister Sun, please sit, please sit. Old Joe jumped up quickly. Currently I've contacted a new teacher, we just haven't settled on a salary, how about I ask him to come over tomorrow? Oh, what kind of teacher? Miss Sun asked. This teacher is quite something. He's a name that can be called throughout the country. His martial arts have been featured on provincial TV. Take a look. This is his profile. From a 10-meter distance, Lin Ziasu clearly saw the name that old Joe was showing to Miss Sun, Li Gang. His hand moved, and he searched for Li Gang on his phone. Soon it came up. Li Gang, male, 36 years old, technical advisor at Jiangcheng Martial Arts Hall, postgraduate researcher at Jiangcheng Martial Arts Academy, 9th place winner at the National Martial Arts Competition, special sports commentator on Jiangcheng TV station. Chapter 30. Chapter 30. Open a detective agency together. A long string of titles, signifying a person of professional caliber. But in Lin Ziasu's eyes, it was nothing but a decorative pillow. However, perspectives differ, as do heights, and so naturally do opinions. Miss Sun quickly glanced over all the information, her face brightening with joy. Now, that's a real teacher. If Director Joe really can bring him here, I can also introduce you to a few more people. Then it's settled. I'll send him a message right now. The message was sent and soon the reply came, yes. The storm that had brewed in this office calmed down in just half an hour. Old Joe and Miss Sun both thought they were the only ones aware of this turbulence, but they were wrong. Lin Ziasu had not only heard the entire conversation, but he also saw the chat content on the phone. What about Miao Rulan? Seemed like she was practicing horse stance 10 meters away, but her facial expression changed, along with the dialogue inside the room. After class ended and the children dispersed, Miao Rulan stepped into old Joe's office, shyly smiling. Director Joe, I've thought it over and feel that this job isn't suitable for me. Thank you for holding me in such high regard, but I think I'll pass. There's something at home. Old Joe was overjoyed inwardly, but his face had to maintain a look of hesitation. After a polite exchange, he easily shifted the conversation in his favor. You've taught 15 classes here. As we agreed before, $50 a class, that makes $750 in total, please take it. Miao Rulan accepted half a month's salary, $750. It was a low salary, but even so, she still felt she wasn't up to the task. Miao Rulan looked up to the sky and gently exhaled. Walking gracefully, she stepped out of the martial arts hall's main gate, even greeting the security uncle before she left. Outside, 2 students also took the initiative to greet her. She patted the children's heads with a face full of kindness. After the kids boarded the bus, the friendly smile on Miao Rulan's face disappeared. She silently sighed and turned to walk towards her little electric scooter. At the electric scooter, a man emerged from behind a tree, smiling slightly. Rulan, I am Lee Diandian's classmate and neighbor, Lin Ziasu. Miao Rulan stopped in her tracks, sizing him up, and a smile slowly formed on her face. I know you. Dian always mentions you to me. Why have you come here? I came especially to find you. Did Dian return? No, she won't be back for a while. Lin Ziasu reiterated what he had told his second aunt last night. Miao Rulan was silent for a while, then smiled softly. That's wonderful. She's the most suitable for the national combat team. She finally found the right path for herself. Lin Ziasu said, yes, she found the path that suits her best. What about you? Where is your path? Miao Rulan's eyes shifted slightly. What? Worried I might starve to death. With her eyes shifting this way, Lin Ziasu suddenly noticed how expressive they were. A light twirl seemed to make people forget the plainness of her appearance. Impossible. If a master like you could starve, then this society is too terrifying. Miao Rulan's gaze settled on his face. deep in thought. I was inside just now. Others may not see your strength, but I can. His voice was very low. Miao Rulan exhaled softly. I actually saw you. Not only did you see me, you also heard old Joe's conversation with Ms. Sun, Lin Zaiasu said. A heightened sixth sense is also a power of ancient martial arts, right? Ancient martial power is boundless, and I've only scratched the surface. The most fatal thing is that this era, it can't accommodate ancient martial. No, this era is all-encompassing. There are no skills that can't be accommodated, only misplaced opportunities. Lin Zaiasu said, I came to you today because I want to cooperate with you on a project. What project? I want to start a detective agency. I can't do it alone, so I'm looking for a partner. Miao Rulan was surprised. A detective agency, what does it do? Private detective. Yes. Is that allowed? I thought only foreign countries allow that. The regulations have changed. Daxia now allows it, just not many are willing to do it. But you could also understand that not many have the capability to do it, Lin Zaiasu said. But we can. Miao Rulan was tempted. She had the skills but no platform. Her situation was actually harder than Li Diandian's. Li Diandian mastered visible, tangible combat skills, and there were national sports teams for combat, so her path was quite broad. Even if Li Diandian was too tigerish and rebellious, she could still return to a small county town to open a martial arts hall and teach people to fight. For parents of students, modern-day combat sports are attractive. It exercises the muscles and strengthens the body. But what about Miao Rulan? Ancient martial arts were very special, extremely difficult to learn, not something those exercising-focused children could handle. The children couldn't take that kind of hardship. Even if the kids could endure the hardship, parents wouldn't want it. Everyone only believes what they see with their eyes, and as for inner true chi that can't be described or made sense of, who would believe it? Paying high tutoring fees, watching their children practice in the bitter cold of winter and the extreme heat of summer, and yet the children apparently progress not at all. The children's suffering aside, the key is that they feel their money has simply sunk into the black water river without even causing a ripple. So the path for Miao Rulan was extremely narrow. There are signs indicating that if she were to rely on her current job for food, there's a high chance she would starve to death. Today's incident is clear evidence of that. And now, Lin Zaiasu had just extended an invitation to her. I'm completely unfamiliar with this field. I might not be able to do it, Miao Rulan said, although excited, she was an honest person. I'm familiar with it, Lin Zaiasu said. Then what can I do to help you? The role you can play is very important. In the detective industry, it's inevitable to offend people. In case someone comes to smash my head or flip our table, you can step up to protect our detective agency. Miao Rulan snorted with laughter. Nonsense, not everything calls for a fight. When we don't need to fight, you could manage our finances, guard the store, and take on cases. The smile faded from Miao Rulan's face, her usually lively eyes now still and fixed on him. Are you serious? Of course I am serious. A twinkle seemed to slowly bloom in Miao Rulan's eyes. Well then, boss, how much salary do you plan to pay me? How much can you accept? 2,000, or even 1,500 is fine per month, Miao Rulan said. Lin Zaiasu laughed. Your requirements are really low, but unfortunately, as low as it is, I still can't agree. Miao Rulan was a bit confused. Lin Zaiasu explained. I've already said before we are partners, so I am not your boss. We are both shareholders, equal in rights and interests. We'll split the income evenly and share the rent and utilities. Miao Rulan understood. That's not right, really not right. I'm completely unfamiliar with this industry, I can't do much. You can help me fight if there's a need. Even if I fight, my effort isn't worth much. As you saw just now, I'm only worth 50 yuan a lesson. That's because old Joe has no eye for talent. Anyway, I can't take advantage of you. So, would you let me take a little advantage then? As Lin Zaiasu's last words hung in the air, the conversation came to an abrupt halt. Miao Rulan's mouth was half open, unable to utter a sound. Lin Zaiasu's gaze shifted, and inside he cursed crap. Had he said something wrong, created a misunderstanding? Never mind, let's be frank with each other. Lin Zaiasu chose his words carefully. I'm interested in ancient martial arts. It's just if there's a chance, that is. Miao Rulan felt as if her heart had suddenly plummeted from the clouds. You want to learn ancient martial arts? Ahem, I also know that, as the old saying goes, the magic should not be passed on lightly. But in modern society, many things have changed, and it's a pity for such a miraculous magic to be left unlearned, as the ancients would say, pearls cast before swine. Miao Rulan smiled. Her smile was infinitely pure. Lin Zaiasu couldn't decipher her smile, but he could see that it was definitely not mockery. Miao Rulan said, in modern society, many things have truly changed. You couldn't imagine that my father once had a crazy idea. He wanted to share our rejuvenation skill online for anyone to practice. Lin Zaiasu was stunned. Why would he do that? The story goes back 5 years ago. No, the origin of the event was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, a young man who was enthusiastic about ancient martial arts sought her father out and pleaded with him to teach him martial arts. What did her father say? Actually, he had always had a dream of passing down his family's cultivation technique. In modern society, few people learn martial arts, and now that someone finally showed interest, he was overjoyed and immediately accepted the young man as his disciple and taught him carefully. However, after 5 full years of practice, that young man didn't make any progress at all. Gradually, the young man grew impatient. Eventually, he fell out with her father, telling everyone that her father was a swindler. He said he had been fooled for a whole 5 years, losing over 1,000 yuan in New Year's gifts and 4 old hens. Her father was furious. He personally returned all the New Year's gifts and the 4 old hens, and after facing ridicule from the villagers, he went home and smoked through the night in the courtyard. The next morning, the old man found Miao Rulan, who was still in college with red eyes. He asked her, "Daughter, what do you say if we post our rejuvenation skill online?" Miao Rulan was puzzled at the time. "Dad, why would you want to do that?" The old man said, "I refuse to believe there's nobody in Daxia who can master it. Only if a stranger succeeds can our Miao family clear its name." The opinion of his fellow villagers mattered greatly to the old man. He simply couldn't bear the stigma of being labeled a swindler. Thus, he indeed dreamt of someone practicing the rejuvenation skill. What about the principle that magic should not be passed on lightly? He wanted to pass it on, but simply couldn't find anyone. So for Lin Zaiasu to learn the Miao family's rejuvenation skill in the new era wasn't an issue at all. Lin Zaiasu was elated. Does this mean I could actually go back with you now and meet my martial arts master? Chapter 31. Chapter 31, Eunuch's Miracle Skill, Rejuvenation Skill. Miao Rulan chuckled. My dad works as a security guard in Sheng City, and my mom went to my grandma's house to help organize my cousin's wedding, so there's no one at home. Anyway, it's just a book. I'll bring it to you tomorrow. People who practice martial arts are now going to work as security guards in Sheng City. This just shows how much ancient martial arts have declined in modern society. But Lin Zaiasu was itching with impatience. Today, is it not possible? You're in such a hurry. I'd better splash you with a bucket of cold water right now. That senior disciple back in the day spent a full 5 years and got nowhere, which is actually quite normal. It took me 13 years just to step through that threshold. I only hope that after you practice it, you won't curse me as a swindler. If I call you a swindler, just kick me 10 feet away. Getting kicked by that transcendental and extraordinary foot more convincing than anything. And hey, speaking of which, your dad is really rigid. When people questioned him, why didn't he just discipline that guy with a bit of force? Let them experience firsthand the lethality of ancient martial arts. That's what I call irrefutable evidence. Miao Rulan's lips curved into a slight smile. Get in the car, I'll tell you about it on the way. They rode an electric bike, with Lin Zaiasu on the back, along the road leading up the mountain on the west side of the county town. The mountain on the west of the county is Dangjia Mountain, which along with Tashan are considered the 2 guardian mountains of the county town. Dangjia Mountain used to have a higher status in the minds of the people in the county than Tashan, because it is closer to the city center. However, as the expansion of the county went southwards and not westwards, along with the shifting of the city center, Tashan became the secluded paradise amidst the development, while Dangjia Mountain still maintained its original ecosystem. A gentle breeze brushed their ears as Miao Rulan's voice carried over, narrating the cultivation technique. This rejuvenation skill is very special, different from the cultivation techniques passed down by other ancient martial families. What's the biggest difference? It starts with the purpose. which is not actually a martial arts classic, but a technique for healing ailments and filling deficiencies. Its creator was a eunuch. He had everything except the root. That was his greatest regret. He served others for half a lifetime, and the foundation he laid was enough for dozens of generations of his descendants to squander. But tragically, he had no root, no descendants to inherit it. An ordinary person might have just left with this regret, but this eunuch had a resilient nature and was determined to achieve his goal. He wanted to create a method of supplementation through the various records in the imperial palace. He aimed to regrow his descendants' root and continue his legacy. This eunuch's surname was Miao, and his name was Miao Renji. From his name alone, one can glimpse what sort of person he was. Even without a root, he strived to be extraordinary. Listening to the story amidst the wind, Lin Zaiasu felt waves of emotions churning inside. Without descendants' root, he created rejuvenation skill. Damn, is that even possible? Wait, this eunuch's surname is Miao. Don't tell me, your Miao family are the descendants of that eunuch. Did he actually succeed? While cycling through the ridges and hills, Miao Ruolan recounted this legendary tale. This legendary figure, Miao Renji, truly succeeded in creating the rejuvenation skill. What's more, he successfully regrew his descendants' root, thus continuing his foundation, his legend, and the legacy of this amazing family tome. The rejuvenation skill begins at a special part of the body, generating rejuvenation true qi. Wherever the true qi flows, it enhances the physical capabilities of the person. From this point of view, it's not much different from other forms of ancient martial arts. So what's the difference? It lies in its infinite malleability. How is it malleable? The human body has 2 main meridians, 12 regular meridians, and 8 extraordinary meridians. These are just the conventional meridians. In fact, there are countless minor meridians. Different methods of opening these minor meridians and their combinations form distinct qi domains, and in theory, the combinations are infinite. No one can find all the combinations, but everyone can freely choose a certain combination. Heart problems, design a special route to protect the heart. Kidney issues, create a route to protect the kidneys. Lack of strength in the hands, design a route to enhance the power in the arms. Weak legs, a route could make a lame person walk as if flying. Not smart enough. Well, if the brain doesn't work, then forget it. A fool probably can't design a complex route to protect their own brain. In a nutshell, rejuvenation skill is actually medicine, not martial arts. And the patient is oneself. It's magical, but isn't it awkward? Speaking of magic, the effects are truly miraculous, even able to regrow a severed descendant's root. How incredible is that? But then what? You spend a decade just to get started, your whole life cultivating yourself into a super doctor, and all your life you can only treat one patient, and that patient is you. Who is this suitable for? Probably only suitable for people like Miao Renji. What are the characteristics of these people? They have great willpower, a great foundation, and a serious illness that can't be too severe. If it's too severe, it'll take too long. By the time the skill hasn't been mastered, the person would be gone. So many specific traits combined make for a very niche audience, turning the technique into a niche skill. So much so that in modern society, it's reached the point where it needs to get online. If Miao Renji, the creator of this technique, knew this, he'd probably turn over in his grave. The electric bike sped along the mountainous road, and Miao Ruolan's cheeks were constantly flushed with a light red. Despite the chilly mountain winds of early May, they couldn't dispel the blush on her face. There are many reasons for this. The most important one might have to do with her unique nature. Her looks are average. Even if she were left on the street overnight, her parents would probably just worry about whether she'd go hungry. Her disposition is calm, and in the midst of crowds, she prefers to exile herself remotely. Therefore, she had never been this close to a man before. What was even more fatal was that she was talking about the topic of progeny roots. This topic was unavoidable. Swearing by the purity she had maintained up to this point, she used the most euphemistic spring and autumn grammar. Thankfully, Huashi Bridge was reached. Miao Ruolan almost jumped off the bus, took in the cool air of the mountain village, and then slowly turned around. This is my home. Pretty good, better than my home. Lin Zaiasu looked around. A small bridge over a stream, grassy ponds, clean and tidy village houses, a small building by the pond, several big trees at the entrance of the village, and the newly built bus stop. The bus service, which was now in operation, was the most significant benefit given by the county to this suburban village. There weren't many families in the village, but compared to other rural areas heading towards death, it was still considered populous. "Come in." Linzayasu entered the house, which also had the typical rural home appearance with a cement floor, a large wooden table, and exposed electrical wires against the white walls. But the backyard had a bit of novelty. The backyard was large with a dirt ground, backed by a high bank, with a bamboo forest behind it, and to the right a tall crepe myrtle tree that grew lush and branched to become the right screen of the backyard. To the left there was a stone. The surface of the stone was not natural but inlaid with many pebbles, forming a pattern of a flower, giving the rural backyard a touch of elegance. Under the crepe myrtle tree, a pile of scattered pebbles was laid on the ground with a small table on top and a lounge chair beside it. Not to mention, if it were summer, sitting on this lounge chair would definitely be cool and refreshing. "You sit down, I'll go boil some water. I didn't boil any before I left this morning," Miao Ryulen said. "Okay." Lin Zaiasu sat down on the lounge chair and felt quite enjoyable. Suddenly, his gaze was attracted to the flower opposite him. This was a flower made of pebbles. That was his first impression when he entered. But now his impression changed. This wasn't inlaid with cement. These were holes directly made in the stone. With a push of his foot, the lounge chair was steadied as he stared at the pile of pebbles under his feet, a wave rising in his heart. Could it be? Sitting here, idly tossing pebbles, with them directly embedding into the large stone, leaving behind a flower made of pebbles on the surface of the large stone. Such a feat, even a master like Chang Yi couldn't achieve. At most, she could shatter the large stone opposite her, yet it was absolutely impossible for her to maintain the pebbles intact. When a chicken egg and a stone collide, if the speed is fast enough, it could potentially damage the stone, but no matter how capable, you can't prevent the egg from breaking. Just like birds hitting an airplane, everybody is amazed that the glass of the strong airplane could be shattered by a delicate bird. But has anyone ever seen the bird survive after hitting an airplane? Miao Ryulen came in, holding a teapot with a thread-bound book beside it. She said with a light smile, "I brought the book for you. You can drink tea and read it at ease while I go and make lunch." Lin Zaiasu's entire attention was suddenly drawn to this book. He picked up the book and on it were 3 ancient characters, rejuvenation skill. He flipped it open, and the introduction read, "The human body is like the universe, secret realms encompassing heaven and earth. The flow of blood veins and the movement of qi in the body are all creations of nature." Lin Zaiasu read swiftly. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Half an hour went by, and he closed the book. Ancient texts are like this, not too many words but obscure and difficult to understand. However, was all this a problem for Lin Zaiasu? Once read, he could recite it fluently, and once integrated with human Tao orchid heart, he would quickly assimilate it. Everything was described so lightly, but that didn't mean it wasn't astounding. This book, it infinitely mystified the human body. It stated that there were countless secret realms in the human body, and opening each realm was a gate to creation. It might seem like nonsense, but didn't they say, the end of science is mysticism? Isn't there a consensus among modern people? The human genetic code has not been decrypted more than 8%. The human body has never truly been decoded by anyone. This is the theoretical part. The practical part was very complex. The body's meridians, the names of acupoints, the point where the first wisp of true qi was born. All of it was clear and understandable. But the world's affairs are just that annoying. Lin Zaiasu felt it was like something easy to understand at a glance, but a complete mess when put into action. That point, how does one generate true qi? After a whole 2 hours of trying, he was clueless. True qi, this thing, you can't see it or touch it, how can it be born out of thin air? Miao Ryulen brought over the food, and although it was just simple home-cooked dishes, they were full of flavor and aroma. Lin Zaiasu ate with relish, praising her several times, which made Miao Ryulen's cheeks turn red with shyness. Chapter 32, Compensating for Weaknesses. After dinner, Miao Ryulen got to the heart of the matter, telling him that the most difficult part of this cultivation technique was actually the birth of true qi, which can't be taught but must be comprehended through serene contemplation. She had been practicing since she was a child, and it took her a full 13 years before, on a spring night by chance, She was able to capture the elusive sensation of qi and produce the first strand of true qi. Afterward, this strand of true qi traveled through the main meridians in her body, slowly growing stronger. She was considered rather quick. She had surpassed her father by 3 years, as he took a full 16 years to birth this strand of true qi. At one point, he even doubted whether his ancestors were deceiving him, so when his disciple betrayed him back then, the old man only felt depressed but didn't strike him, because he could understand the disciple's despondency from 5 fruitless years of effort. Thus, Miao Ruolan shared her true thoughts with Lin Zaiasu, advising him not to be overly eager for success. After all, in modern society, almost no one practices martial arts, and life goes on just fine. You can take the book home, even make a copy if you want. Just return the original to me sometime later. Faced with her reasonable suggestion, Lin Zaiasu's eyes flickered. There's no need to take it away, I've already read it. He returned the book to her on the spot. Miao Ruolan felt a little relieved and a little disappointed. Relieved because he knew when to back down and wasn't stubborn, but disappointed because ultimately she wasn't able to help him. However, she was at a loss about his next sentence. Lin Zaiasu said, "Since I've already memorized it, I might as well give it a try." Yet he just sat cross-legged, motionless. Miao Ruolan cleaned up the dishes, washed them, and even did the sheets from yesterday that she hadn't gotten around to. Time flew by, and before she knew it, it was already past 4 in the afternoon. Her gaze drifted towards the backyard, her thoughts splitting. In the backyard, Lin Zaiasu was sitting there, still not having budged an inch. "It's almost 5, aren't you going home?" She really didn't mean to rush him off. In fact, she was hoping that he wouldn't leave tonight. However, if he truly didn't go, she would feel a bit scared. Having never kept a man overnight, the very concept was absent from her mind. She felt afraid, shy, and conflicted. Lin Zaiasu showed no intention of leaving. Until after 5 o'clock, then 6 o'clock. Miao Ruolan finally let go of the turmoil in her heart. It seemed he was set to stay overnight. Night had fallen. In fact, Lin Zaiasu should have been feeling her discontent. Today was only the first time they had met. Was it okay for him to stay overnight? Under normal circumstances, it would be impossible. But today was exceptional. Lin Zaiasu had completely forgotten the passage of time, fully engrossed in grappling with this cultivation technique. Human Tao orchid heart shouldn't be the strongest in comprehension. Isn't a cultivation technique what requires the most comprehension? If I can't even get started on a cultivation technique, what kind of comprehension can I talk about? I must defend the dignity of human Tao orchid heart. Despite his rebellious thoughts, he's unfortunately facing the exact kind of cultivation technique designed to tame such obstinacy. After a whole morning and afternoon, he could not even remotely sense the qi. Suddenly, a spark of insight flashed through his mind. As if a silver fish stirred up waves, Lin Zaiasu saw a new direction. This silver fish in his mind. What was this silver fish? An entity of consciousness. The entity, ethereal by nature, seemed to come alive and materialize after receiving human Tao orchid heart. At that point, the sensation of qi could not be borne. I'll try taking the silver fish there. In a moment's thought, the silver fish arrived at the mysterious rejuvenation origin. With one revolution, Lin Zaiasu's body shook violently. He caught an invisible ripple spreading. 2 revolutions, a strand of qi sensation was born. 3 revolutions, the strand of qi descended from that point all the way down, causing sharp pain in his dantian. The sensation of true qi stimulation became more distinct. But the pain was also more intense. The silver fish seemed like a plow in his hands, tilling a field that had never been cultivated before. Unbeknownst to him, Lin Zaiasu was drenched in sweat, with beads the size of soybeans about to fall from his forehead. Finally, there was a loud booming inside his body, as if the gates that had been sealed for decades were opened. True qi turned into a gentle stream, flowing through his 2 main meridians, 12 primary meridians and the 8 extraordinary meridians. By the small gate in the backyard, Miao Ruolan, holding a tray, stood at the entrance, exclaiming softly in disbelief. The tray in her hands nearly tipped over, but she tightly grasped it, bending the stainless steel out of shape. Lin Zaiasu slowly opened his eyes, with an expression of someone who had been shouldering a heavy burden for hours, finally relieved, utterly relaxed in content. Suddenly, he raised his hand, staring in amazement at a layer of dirt on his arm. Touching his backside, he thought to himself, what the heck? His clothes were slick, as if the impurities from inside his body were expelled all at once. You've succeeded. You actually succeeded. Miao Ruolan's face flushed red, the plates on the tray clattering. I need to take a bath, said Lin Ziasu. Come. Lin Ziasu spent a long time washing in the bathroom. Miao Ruolan hung her dad's clothes on the doorknob, standing in the yard for a long while. Her chest rose and fell gently, calming the turmoil within her. She had become proficient in rejuvenation skill, refining her body and expelling impurities, a fact she hadn't mentioned to him. In her mind, even if his heart was truly calm as still water, even if he truly was a genius, it would take a few years before he could faintly see that slight possibility. It was not yet time to discuss the performance of the cultivation technique. But in just half a day, he had made a breakthrough. The most difficult entry step, he got it. Was this his miracle? The miracle of the cultivation technique itself? Or was it the miracle that they created together? The bathroom door opened, and Lin Ziasu, wearing her dad's pajamas, walked out. Miao Ruolan suddenly felt that the person coming towards her was somewhat handsome. This wasn't an illusion. It was a fact. Having achieved results with the rejuvenation skill, expelling bodily impurities and optimizing bodily functions included beautification. Why do you think Miao Ruolan persisted for 13 years? Her fundamental purpose was beauty. Why hadn't she succeeded? Actually, it was all tears she succeeded. In the beginning, she was ugly, but after cultivating the rejuvenation skill, she became average. Wasn't that a success? She couldn't blame her mother for passing on the worst part of her face, nor could she blame the ancestors for leaving behind a cultivation technique that didn't transform her completely. She could only blame her own starting point for being too low. Even with a significant improvement, it was still below average. I think I succeeded, Lin Ziasu said with a light smile. It's not think. Miao Ruolan put aside her overflowing thoughts and smiled brightly. I feel like I can also create a miracle just like you. Just like me, Miao Ruolan was slightly taken aback. What nonsense are you talking about? What miracle have I created? Lin Ziasu walked up to the small table and picked up a pebble. Whoosh! The pebble flew out like lightning, embedding in the center of the flower opposite as if dotting its heart. Miao Ruolan's eyes lit up. Did you notice early on that these pebbles on the stone were set using this method? Is this your detective skill? Lin Ziasu smiled. That's why our detective agency will definitely not be short on business. I've said it already, I really can't do detective work. Pairing up with me is like supporting an idler. Lucky you still think you're an idler. Starting a detective agency involves so many procedures, I get a headache just thinking about it. Then why do you insist on starting one? Because money, right? Trying to get by in this society without money is tough. My brother hasn't even gotten married yet, and it worries my mom sick just talking about our marriages. My dad works on a construction site and is tanned and sweaty all day long. I plan to use my own hands to free my dad first. Then I have to free my dad too, said Miao Ruolan. And my brother, my mom said, for my brother to get out of being single, he'd probably have to go to Southeast Asia and spend money to find someone. Did your brother cultivate the rejuvenation skill? Asked Lin Ziasu. He's too impatient and restless. How could he manage to do so? He said something back then that almost frustrated my dad to death. He said he'd been practicing for 10 years and other than farts, he couldn't feel any sort of energy. It's also a good thing he didn't succeed. With his temper, ready to fight at the drop of a hat, we couldn't afford to pay the medical bills for the damage he might do. After dinner, Miao Ruolan immediately grabbed the clothes he had changed out of to wash. With that wash, Lin Ziasu was no longer troubled about whether or not to return home. Spending the night at home, wearing someone else's dad's pajamas seemed a bit improper. Staying over for the night here seemed all right. After all, as partners, they would likely be living together in the detective agency in the county town, if all goes well. He wanted to do the dishes. In the backyard, the solar lights were on, casting a soft glow. He washed the dishes, Miao Ruolan washed clothes. It was quite harmonious. The two chatted casually, and gradually seemed familiar with each other. Maybe it was because they had both cultivated the rejuvenation skill, becoming similar kinds of people, or maybe Miao Ruolan was just a very gentle and intelligent person. In any case, Lin Ziasu found talking to her especially comfortable, and as the conversation continued, it became more relaxed. By late night, they talked like old friends who had been collaborating for many years. That night, Lin Zaiasu slept in the guest room. The gentle breeze came through the window, waves rippled beneath. Dogs in the mountain village barked a few times before quieting down. Stars filled the sky, then were covered by dark clouds. He slept soundly. Perhaps that was another wonderful effect of the rejuvenation skill, able to bring one's mind to an extraordinary state of calm. If he was placed in a team like Chang Yi and number 88, at least in terms of sleep, he could synchronize with them, able to sleep whenever he wished. What about his physical skills? Could he synchronize with theirs? Lin Zaiasu did not know, but it wasn't important. What was important was that he was now making up for his biggest weakness, and there were indications that the future was promising. Genetic masters with their combat abilities had a sudden burst of power, reaching the pinnacle as soon as they stepped off the operating table. Not so for ancient martial cultivators. Their cultivation could grow, and this was the source of Lin Zaiasu's confidence. Chapter 33. Chapter 33, a case triggered by a good deed. Early in the morning, Lin Zaiasu woke up to the sound of a dog barking and immediately felt the flow of true qi throughout his body. He lightly tapped his toes and reached the door, opening it to see Miao Ruolan. Miao Ruolan was holding his clothes, which were surprisingly neatly pressed. "You ironed them for me." Miao Ruolan smiled lightly, "Mainly because I was worried they wouldn't dry. I used an iron and they dried by last night. You're going to handle procedures today, Mr. Lin. You can't just run around wearing my dad's old pajamas." Lin Zaiasu took the clothes. "Let me correct you, we're partners. I'm your boss and you're mine. Besides, Ruolan, seriously, whatever job you're doing, you're worth more than 2,000 a month." The corners of Miao Ruolan's mouth stealthily curled up. "Why don't you tell that to old Joe? He pays me 750 for half a month's work, acting as if he's doing me a huge favor. Once we've set up the detective agency, we'll show him." Lin Zaiasu's response came from inside the room. Miao Ruolan chuckled. Whenever she was with him, she seemed to find herself laughing more than usual. Lin Zaiasu stepped out of the room, dressed in neatly pressed trousers and a sharp jacket, giving off a vibe of spirit that seemed to radiate from his hair tips. In Miao Ruolan's eyes, he was actually starting to look quite handsome. In the courtyard, the electric motorcycle was fully charged. As Miao Ruolan was about to hop on, she suddenly stopped. "Why don't you ride?" Lin Zaiasu didn't decline, and straddled the electric motorcycle, taking off with Miao Ruolan like a gust of wind and a flash of lightning. The mountain road was narrow, with cliffs on both sides. However, the electric motorcycle stylishly kicked up leaves from both sides, swiftly cutting through the dense forest. Miao Ruolan hugged his waist from behind, her cheeks flushing red once again. It wasn't from nervousness. With their current ancient martial skills, they wouldn't have any accidents here. Even if they flipped the motorcycle, they would still have the reflexes to handle it. She just felt that she might have chosen the wrong way again. Yesterday, she had ridden the bike with him hugging her from behind, which made her whole body go weak. Today, she no longer dared to take the lead. So she switched, letting him take the lead. This change made things natural from behind, but from the front, it became somewhat sensitive. If this guy rode slower, she could maintain a distance, but once the speed picked up due to inertia. She had wanted to remind him, not to be overconfident just because he had practiced ancient martial, and to not speed on roads that weren't suitable for it. But under this strange train of thought, she seemed to have grown lazy and no longer wanted to remind him. What she didn't know was that today's ride with Lin Zaiasu had nothing to do with whether he had cultivated ancient martial or not. Lin Zaiasu was already a top motorcycle rider. At the 101 testing ground, he had completed countless maneuvers far more thrilling and difficult than this. Some of those maneuvers were even included by the system as trial items for new members. Once they left the mountain road and entered Fengcheng Avenue, the speed of the electric motorcycle actually decreased quite a bit. They rode all the way to Fengcheng Police Station. Miao Ruolan looked at the large building of the police station. "Are we handling procedures here?" "Yeah, detective agencies are not like other businesses. They require police record registration, Officer Joe." Lin Zaiasu raised his voice for the last three words. A car that had just come out from the station stopped abruptly, the windows sliding down to reveal none other than Joe May. Lin Zaiasu could swear he saw a flicker of delight in the officer's eyes. What was going on? Why are you here?" Joe May asked. The young male police officer in the passenger seat leaned his head back slightly, to facilitate the conversation between Joe May and Lin Zaiasu. "I need to talk to you for a moment," Joe May said. "All right, little son, let's put aside what we're working on for a bit." "Sister Joe, this matter can't wait though. Captain Zhang is watching. He instructed us to make sure." "Do you listen to me or to him?" Joe May shot him a glare. "Get out of the car, take Mr. Lin to the reception room and wait for me with some tea brewed. I'll park the car now." The young police officer named Sun had no choice but to get out, leading Lin Zaiasu and Miao Ruolan to the reception room and brewing tea for them. He really couldn't understand in his heart. How urgent could the matter at hand be? Sister Joe was a seasoned cop too. How could she not see the priority of tasks at this moment and be receiving guests instead? As these thoughts crossed his mind, Joe May walked in. He smiled warmly. "Let's start with what brings you looking for me." "Officer Joe, it's like this. I'm planning to open a detective agency in Fengcheng, and according to the establishment regulations, I need to file a case with the public security authorities." Little son interrupted. "Mr. Lin, the reception desk handles case filings. Just go to the window for that. Sister Joe, we should be going." Joe May didn't get up. She simply smiled. "Sorry, little Sue, this little son is newly assigned here. He doesn't know better. Keep talking." Lin Zaiasu gave a slight smile. Officer Sun stayed up all night watching the footage, not sleeping a wink, all with the thought of working the case. Such dedication is commendable. If you two have urgent business, go ahead with that. I can handle the filing at the window just as well. Officer Sun's brows furrowed sharply. "How did you know I watched the footage all night?" Joe May expressed her surprise as well. Even if she knew about Lin Zaiasu's methods, she still found such a magical incident hard to accept. Noticing someone didn't sleep all night is already good eyesight, but knowing they stayed up watching footage all night, unless you were hiding outside their window. Lin Zaiasu laughed. "Just look at Officer Sun's eyes and you'll know. The signs of not having slept are quite obvious, so what was he doing up all night? Doing different things causes different signs in the eyes. There is a degree of bloodshot around his eyelids, showing that he kept his eyes wide open for a long time without motion. Combined with the rush you two seemed to be in when leaving, I boldly guessed that Officer Sun was watching surveillance footage last night to look for criminal clues." Joe May and Officer Sun looked at each other. Exhaling softly, Joe May said, "I'm convinced. Are you telling me this proves you have what it takes to run a detective agency?" "Yes, since I plan to open a detective agency, I naturally need the corresponding professional skills. Otherwise, wouldn't it be a joke?" Lin Zaiasu lifted his teacup. Joe May said, "Opening a detective agency isn't just filing a case. There's a whole slew of procedures. If you were to tackle it yourself, I reckon you wouldn't finish in 2 months." "I know, but what can you do? Just take it slow." Joe May said, "I can handle it for you. I'll take care of it, and everything will be in place within a week at most." Lin Zaiasu laughed. "Don't get too excited yet. I have my conditions," Joe May said. "I have a case on my hands. Help me figure out a solution. As long as you can help me crack this tough nut, I'll focus on helping you." Officer Sun, who was sitting askew in the office chair, flinched, his gaze shifting towards Joe May with a touch of disbelief. "Inviting an outsider for help. Does that comply with procedures?" Lin Zaiasu shook his head slightly. "I guessed you would pull this. What can I do when I'm the one asking for a favor? All right, I help you, then you help me." Joe May got excited. "Little son, get the case record." "Sister Joe, this." Little son hesitated. "I know what you're about to say. No need to speak, just bring it here." Both wanted to speak further, but Miao Ruolan obviously didn't understand. If it had been the Lin Zaiasu of the past, he wouldn't have understood either. But is he still the same person as before? He knew this was the rule. Not to leak information on an ongoing investigation is discipline. Joe May was compelled to ask for his help due to the urgency of solving the case quickly, but fundamentally, it was a breach of protocol. To tackle such a dilemma, the best approach is to not get involved in the specifics, but to solve the most crucial point. Lin Zaiasu spoke up. "No need for the record, Officer Joe, just tell me with words." "All right, this matter started with a good deed. A person found a wallet but couldn't find the owner, so they brought it to the police station. If it were just an ordinary wallet, this action would be the standard good deed of a good Samaritan. The problem is, upon opening the wallet there was no cash but there were drugs, a full 3 kilograms. For a drug case of such a terrifying amount in this small county, it's unprecedented. Now the criminal investigation team is searching for this lost property owner. The spot where the finder claimed to have picked it up was out of the camera's view, and they reviewed a plethora of surrounding footage for analysis. The footage little son was watching last night. Yet they still haven't found the owner. That's the situation, a massive case triggered by an act of kindness. Typically, with such honesty in finding lost items, the owner would thank the finder for their integrity. But in this case, whether the owner would be grateful or curse their ancestors is anyone's guess. Regardless, everyone in the squad finds the situation agonizingly funny. No matter how many laughable aspects there are to this case, none of them can laugh because the higher-ups have issued an absolute command: solve the case within 3 days. Otherwise, as time goes by, those involved in the crime will transfer assets, move people around, and in the end, you won't be able to catch anyone. Chapter 34. Chapter 34. Capturing people in the Internet Cafe. The bag was in the evidence room next door, and Lin Zaiasu went in. He didn't open the bag, he didn't even pick it up. After a glance and a sniff, he had completed the first part of his case. Next, it was time to visit the place where the bag was found. Miao Ruolan stayed behind to organize the documents needed for the opening of their detective agency. Lin Zaiasu, Zhou Mei, and Officer Sun Yang headed to where the bag was found. The bag was found at the Yishui waterfront. Yishui River, which flows through the city, used to be like a stinking ditch with businesses crowding both sides, and domestic sewage and garbage were carelessly discarded into it. This became a major focus for Secretary Luo after he took office. He demolished numerous houses along the banks, cleaned up the riverbed, built embankments, planted green trees, and even constructed a water dam downstream. Once filled with water, the Yishui River shimmered, and green willows lined its banks. It had transformed into a park with water and beaches. Everyone referred to it as the Yishui waterfront. When criticism against Secretary Luo was at its peak, the Yishui waterfront became a focal point of attacks. Rumors said Secretary Luo loved women, often bringing female staff to the Yishui waterfront to discuss work. This rumor was quickly dismissed by the public. As the head of the county, he could discuss work anywhere. Why would he need to do it so openly? Although the credibility of Luo's discussing work lost plausibility, the suitability of Yishui waterfront for young couples was an undeniable fact. In the city center, it was an oasis of peace. With weeping willows lined up, the site where one could enjoy the clear waves by day and listen to cicadas by night had indeed a flavor of romance. In such a location, which had been designated for leisure from the beginning, naturally there were no cameras installed. Therefore, Red Pavilion, where the leather bag was found, was a blind spot for surveillance. Now it was early May. As they reached the riverside embankment, the intense sun suddenly softened. Lin Zaiasu took a breath of fresh air, brushed aside the 2 willow branches hanging by the entrance of the Red Pavilion, and entered. Outside the Red Pavilion, Officer Sun leaned in close to Zhou Mei's ear, his voice very low. "Sister Zhou, we've checked this place several times already. Is there really something we missed?" He was new to the job, and Zhou Mei was essentially his training officer. He dared not question her decisions, but that didn't mean he was completely convinced. After all, he was a high achiever at the police academy. He excelled in criminal investigation science and exploration science. The concept of someone, not academically trained in this field, wanting to open a detective agency in a county town was bizarre. If they could find any oversights among these top service providers and thereby solve such cases, it would be nothing short of a fairy tale. Zhou Mei's beautiful eyes shifted. "Indeed, you've checked 2 times with eyes wide as copper bells, but have you ever used your sense of smell?" "Smell? We haven't, but police dogs were deployed. However, the contents of that bag were sealed too tightly. The dogs couldn't smell anything before it was opened, which didn't happen until it was taken back to the station." His voice suddenly stopped, because Lin Zaiasu gently brushed the weeping willows at the entrance of the Red Pavilion and walked out. He didn't look at them but went straight to the nearby flower bed, stepped in, stopped, and looked surprised. Zhou Mei quickly stepped over and approached him. "Did you find something?" "Look," Lin Zaiasu pointed gently at the ground. "There's a footprint here." A footprint? This statement in itself was meaningless because there were footprints everywhere. This place was meant for public leisure, and footprints were the last thing it lacked. However, Zhou Mei suddenly grew alert. "Is it related to the scent in the Red Pavilion?" "Yes," Lin Zaiasu said. "From last evening until now, the scent of 2 people has been left in the Red Pavilion. After they left the red pavilion, they took two different paths. One path led up those stairs to the pedestrian walkway. The other, this one, goes along the inside of the flower bed. Officer Joe, presuming one was the person who lost the bag and the other was the finder, then who might the person walking along the inside of this flower bed be? Joe May's heart raced, the one who lost the bag. Yes, the finder, with a clear conscience typical of those who would hand in found items, took the main path. Lin Zaiasu said, "So, think about it. Why would the person who lost the bag walk inside the flower bed deep in the night? You should know, this place is full of snakes and insects." Joe May and Sun Yang were both shocked. At the Yishui waterfront, along the inner side of the flower bed, this time of year, with snakes and insects abound, which normal person would walk there at night instead of on the main path meant for couples? Sun Yang stepped forward, unless this entire event of losing the bag was not by accident. Exactly, Lin Zaiasu nodded. This is a classic case of a drug deal. Drugs under the high-pressure policies of Daxia country. Thus, drug deals are conducted very discreetly. Many traffickers adopt a method where the upper hand and lower hand do not meet. They agree on a location where the upper hand places the goods, and the lower hand comes to collect them. The biggest advantage is that this cuts off a direct link between them. Even if one is arrested, the other isn't implicated. This deal failed simply because of an accident. The upper hand had placed the bag in the designated spot, and before the lower could collect it, it was found by a passerby. Ordinarily, a passerby finding the item would not be a problem, as the owner could simply claim it, but given the nature of the contents, who would dare to step forward? What if you encounter someone who's very serious? You say this item is yours, you say what's inside, let's open it and verify each item one by one. If you are right, the bag is returned to you. Isn't that a sure way to self-destruct? Therefore, even if the person logged off is nearby watching, they probably wouldn't dare to come forward. If the person who found the bag takes it home, those people also have ways to retrieve it, but this person has been a good kid since childhood, firmly believing in, if I find a penny on the road, I hand it over to the police. By handing it over, both the upper and lower contacts are screwed. One pavilion, two auras. Two paths of movement. One takes the main road, the other takes the flower bed. With just this simple information, three people simultaneously linked up a serious case. The problem now is, can we find that upper contact in this vast crowd? Joe May said. Lin Zaiasu smiled lightly. Let's try. With that attempt, they walked from the flower bed to the sidewalk, crossed the bridge, and arrived at an internet cafe. It's still early morning, around 8, and the rhythm of life in the small county town is slower. Many people still eating breakfast, the air filled with the fragrance of spring and the aroma of fried dough sticks and steamed buns, as well as the sense of life. But inside the internet cafe, the atmosphere was different. A long row of gaming machines, 60 to 70 teenagers, some playing games overnight, some reversing their clothes and sleeping in chairs. The air filled with the smells of smoke, instant noodles, and undefinable musty odor. The tables are a mess, the floor is a mess. The cleaning lady had a face of extreme disapproval, yet helpless. If these lads were her sons, they would truly be in for a scolding, but they are not. On the contrary, because of their presence, they provide her a job. They are restrained because these people are present. They dare not say anything. But when they saw Joe May and two other colleagues shoulder to shoulder walking through the aisle towards the direction of the private rooms, they still sighed secretly. The private room is the VIP of the internet cafe. Everywhere else VIP represents high-end, but only the VIP of the internet cafe is indescribable. They clearly know this private room is a gold-swallowing monster and a deep muddy pit. Some people enter wearing short sleeves, and when they leave, it's snowing heavily outside. Even worse, they have homes, wives, and children. But after staying here for years, the wife runs off with someone else. The child becomes an orphan. All assets sold by them were poured into this private room. What for? They of this age really couldn't understand. It didn't concern them, so they could disregard it, but seeing the three new neatly dressed people entering the private room, they still felt it was quite a pity. Yes, Joe May and Sun Yang were not in uniform, but in regular clothes. When they reached a private room's door, Lin Zaiasu stopped. Are you sure? Joe May's eyes sparkled. Lin Zaiasu nodded lightly. He was absolutely sure. That blonde kid entered this private room and did not come out. Joe May gently raised her hand and knocked. An impatient voice came from inside. "Who is it?" "Cleaning," Jomei said. The private room door opened. The person opening the door was that blonde. The blonde was a bit surprised to see Jomei, such a young and beautiful woman, also cleaning. Although the economy is down, anything is possible, but this was too much of a stretch. Jomei didn't look at him, her gaze fixed firmly on the footprints left by the blonde. On most floors, such distinct footprints wouldn't be left unless it's a floor where liquids are often spilled, and cleaning is always handled by someone. The footprints on the floor were too clear. "It's him." Jomei lifted her hand, revealing a police badge in her palm. The blonde shuddered violently, his face completely changed. Swiftly sidestepping, he dashed past Jomei. Just as he was about to get away, Jomei raised her knee, and the blonde's face twisted, bending over like a shrimp. Two other men in the private room also jumped up. One was knocked down by Sun Yang with a kick. The other was beautifully subdued by a chokehold, face pressed against the ground. The internet cafe was stirred, so was the boss. Outside, a police siren blared briefly, then cut off. 3 male officers entered side by side, Chief Zhang himself leading the team, and took the 3 men to the police car.